All right, well, time for Total Bases. It's Monday. We kick off a new week. We've hit the home stretch, boys. 2 weeks left of the regular season. And Brian, if I got to say this, if the chat has listened to you and just straight up bet your theory of if you need to win at this point, you weren't that great of a team in the first place, you're probably printing money right now, especially in the National League, because every team that has needed to win per se has lost for the past week or so. I'm talking about teams like the Mets, right? And maybe that's not even the best example, but the teams, I think the better example is these teams chasing the Mets. The Reds went to West Sacramento, got swept this weekend. You know, the Giants, it was sitting right there for them at home. They lost back-to-back games to close out the week. It's been kind of incredible to watch. The Mets did finally win yesterday, but they've let everyone back into the race, which is great for us, I guess, as fans. We now have a wild card race in the National League. That's where I want to start today. The Arizona Diamondbacks are 2 games out of a playoff spot. 2 games. They're 75-75, 6-4 in their last 10 games. They won both of their weekend games to now draw to just 2 back of the Mets. Brian, I've said this whole time, they have a postseason caliber lineup. They just haven't had the pitching. So D-backs Giants, essentially playoff baseball. Where are you going with this one tonight?
Yeah, last 2 weeks of baseball, most teams have 12 games left. And you mentioned the Diamondbacks are about a 5% chance to make the playoffs now. The Reds about a 5%. Giants about a 10%. Even as well as Cleveland's playing, they've only got 11%. So the Mets finally got the win yesterday, and I think it was because of me, because I had a small play against them, and I like the way Texas was playing as opposed to the Mets, and the Mets ended up getting that home run late and getting that victory. But yeah, it's right now. It's tough to win. It's tough to win anytime. And when people say that it's important to win at the end of the season as opposed to the beginning, no, mathematically, a win in April is just as good as a win now. So anybody who says that clearly does not know math. But you've got to pack up these wins. Look at all the wins the Cubs packed up early in the season, and now they haven't played well since the All-Star break, and still they don't need to win. So you need to pay attention to that. But, yeah, we're looking at San Francisco against Arizona. Teng going for San Francisco, Gallen going for Arizona. We're looking at basically Arizona's about maybe a 130 favorite right now. Total of 9, slightly to the over. And when you take a look at the numbers from Kaiwi Teng, 7.52 ERA, but only a 3.69 expected. His whip is horrendous at 1.76. In fact, he's pitched 33 innings in the major leagues. He's got a 8.29 ERA, 1.87 whip. Now, it's a very small sample size of 33 total innings for 2 seasons here. But if you look at his Savant page, and he hasn't pitched enough yet, but his fastball velocity is in the 28th percentile, his extension 34th, does have problems with walks. He's at 13% walk rate this year, but his barrel rate has been excellent. It's hard hit. Everything else has been very good. So I think if you were to bet Teng the rest of the season, you would be profitable. We're going with Zach Gallen here, who has turned his season around a little bit, but still comes in with a 4.84 ERA, 4.51 expected, 1.28 whip. And really, other than his ground ball rate and his extension, which is slightly over league average, everything else is in the blue. He's not having his good season. He still throws his four-seamer 46% of the time, even though it's 1.5 mile per hour lower than an average right-hander. He's pitching better now than he did earlier, but I'm not so sure Arizona deserves to be favored here, and there has been some money coming in on San Francisco. I lean with San Francisco in this one just because I trust Tang's StatCast number more than his actual numbers that he's placed. And, 2 teams fighting for the playoffs here. And Arizona's got the better offense. San Francisco for, 3 weeks was the best offense of baseball. Now they're slowing down a little bit and coming back to the back to it. They are bringing up their first baseman, Eldridge, I believe his name is, and he's their number one prospect, and they're bringing him up. We'll see how that goes. Last couple of weeks of the season, don't know how much he'll play, but at least he gets up there and he gets to look at it. I prefer San Francisco here as the dog. Don't know if it'll make my card. It's a smaller card today, so don't know if it'll get there, but I'm leaning that way.
Hey guys, nice to be back. If I look different and sound different, it's because I'm on my laptop in my Phoenix home. But yeah, long flight. I'm in the US now. If you check my Twitter, which is I think down there, you'll see I've been posting my bet slips because I'm going to the casino at least twice a day. So not a degen or anything. Not at all. But it's very nice to be back. Hey, doing this show in the morning is quite a different feel. If I lived in the US, I would not have agreed to doing the show at this time.
Oh my God,
Ryan, what a trooper. 6 a.m. But anyway, so yeah, regarding this game, this interesting you picked this game to start. I have this game the tightest matchup of all. These two teams tight. Hitting, they're both top 10. Bullpen, they're both bottom 10. And starting pitching is really the only difference. But Gallen, although he's a trusted veteran, he's still only 4 points over Teng. I got them both right around 20 out of 30 on a curve of 30. So, man, this is just tight all the way up and down. Brian mentioned that the Diamondbacks are just 2 games out of the playoffs. Well, so is San Francisco. Both teams have a chance. So they're both fighting. So there's no real edge regarding that. And so I took a look at Gallen's history against these batters. Nothing special. He's pretty average, actually. He's got him like about a 220 batting average against and about a 750 OPS. So no real edge there either. So if all things are equal, you have more value betting the underdog. So I kind of agree with Brian's sentiments. And also I agree with Brian. I'm not there yet. So I haven't bet it. But if I were to bet it, I think San Francisco would be the only way to go here.
TB, you could go to this game if you wanted to. How far are you from Phoenix? Yeah, I mean,
it's 15 minutes from my house. So.
Right. I was gonna say my buddy, one of my best friends growing up, moved to the Phoenix, Arizona area, and he'll text me all the time. He'll be like, "I'm sitting third row for like $20," like because we grew up going out to Fenway, going to Yankee Stadium. He lived in Boston for a while, and I mean, just like. You know, it's never a cheap ticket, and he lives in Arizona now. He's like, this is awesome. Like my wife and I go dirt cheap, and we sit like right behind the dugout. So it's just like being in a smaller market. But yeah, huge game, and I'm with you guys. The Giants definitely show some value here. So I want to talk about Kaiwi Teng's AAA numbers for a second. They're crazy. In AAA this year, he's got a 3.63 ERA. But the thing that jumps out the most to me. 89 strikeouts in 57 innings at AAA. That is a lot of swing and miss. I know it's AAA and it maybe hasn't, materialized at the big league level yet, but like Brian said, small sample size at the big league level. If I'm going off of memory, I think he pitched against the Padres in back-to-back games, and there was the first game his defense totally let him down. Like someone botched a double play ball that like continued this inning. And then the same Padres team got to see him like a day later or 6 days later. Sorry. So, I'm going off memory here. I know he pitched well against the Nationals. Point is, he hasn't had a ton of time at the big league level yet. And last year, he wasn't very good. Like he made a lot of changes in the offseason that have helped him a ton going into this year. They talked about it on a Sacramento River Cats broadcast one time. That's why I know that. In AAA this year, he has a 197 batting average against, and the strikeout rate is crazy. I am not – Brian can do the math for me there. 89 strikeouts in 57 innings. That's, like, insane, right? Like, that's insane numbers even at any level.
Yeah, basically everybody won in the major leagues. It's 1-1, basically, slightly around 1-1. So even in the minors, that's amazing. And I just wanted to point out while we're doing the show and we're talking about how early it is for Brandon, he reached for a Diet Coke as opposed to his So it's early in the morning. There you go, Dr. Pepper.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder how many people like don't realize he's in Japan and just think he's like hitting Fireball at 9 a.m. Like if you're on the East Coast, it's got the Fireball at 9 a.m. Yeah. Two things.
Now I can see why Brian was making those faces when I'm swigging Fireball. I couldn't imagine drinking right now at 6 a.m.
Two things that people in the chat have brought up that I think are great points. Well, Colin and Brian said this as well. Bryce Eldridge, huge call up. I mean, I don't know how he's going to fare right off the bat, the big league level, but this dude has insane power. Like just from a straight up like standpoint of putting a power bat in the lineup, that is a massive upgrade. The problem is, and the reason that he probably hasn't been called up yet, little too much swing and miss, and I think he would get exposed at the big league level pretty quickly. But you know what? There's 2 weeks left in the season. No one knows how to pitch him yet. So, like, I mean, you're probably going to hit him 5th or 6th, and suddenly you have like a big time home run threat. I understand what they're doing with him. And then Steve Duke says someone has major belief in Teng. They're letting him try to lower his ERA. Yeah, when you have 89 strikeouts and 57 AAA innings, like people are going to believe in you a little bit. I'm a believer in him as well. Like I'm a believer in him as well because of what they sort of pointed out on the River Cats broadcast this year. All of the different tweaks he made last season to this season. He throws a lot of different pitches. So guys with like a pretty extensive pitch mix, especially starting pitchers, when teams haven't seen them much, it's they tend to be a little bit tougher to figure out. I'd much rather have the Giants here against Gallen, a guy that I think has been sort of overvalued all season, than try to lay a price against the unknown. In this case, the unknown being someone I think is pretty good. So I'm with you guys. Giants definitely show value here for sure. Brian, is that a Vandy hat? No, that's the Vegas Golden Knights right there, Markins.
Vegas Golden Knights. It's getting to be hockey season, and my second love other than baseball is hockey, so I'm getting excited. And our Las Vegas Aces, the WNBA team, won their first playoff game yesterday. So, yeah, it's a good time to be in Vegas. Unless you're betting sports.
Admittedly, I never got super into hockey, which is really dumb because I live in the Northeast and it's so big up here. But I go to college hockey games sometimes, and they are a blast. So yeah. I have to say, like, even though I know nothing about the sport, going to the hockey games, we go to Colgate games all the time. I promised I wouldn't bring them up, but I did on this show again. But we go over to Colgate hockey games all the time, and they are awesome. So much fun. So
hockey games are the most fun out of any sport I've ever been to. I'm not a soccer fan, and I guess soccer would be outside of the United States or whatever. It's exciting for those guys. For me, it's not. But I never handicapped hockey until Vegas got a team, and ever since, I just in love with the sport.
Hockey is by far the best sport to watch live.
Yeah, it's really fun to watch live. It's mind-boggling to me that Syracuse University doesn't have a hockey team. I feel like that they should be like so big time in college hockey, and they don't have a team. Go figure. But we'll move on. Let's stay. I want to stay in the National League playoff picture because somehow, and I just want to make sure I'm speaking correctly here before I go to this game. Yes, somehow the St. Louis Cardinals should be so dead and buried at this point. But like even them, and this would be pretty far fetched for them to get back into it. But even the St. Louis Cardinals are only 4 games back. And they start a series with the Cincinnati Reds where Brian Leonard, I don't know, how do you get off the mat after you were swept by the A's in the situation the Reds were swept in, where it's like they're giving you every opportunity to take over that last spot, and you couldn't go to West Sacramento and get 1 win. That being said, do you like this spot for them in St. Louis tonight? Do you see them sort of bouncing back here?
I'm in agreement. Young team in Cincinnati, the changes that they've made at the All-Star break and since the All-Star break and what they brought in for the run, Zattel being one of them, have not really worked out. We're looking at the Libertor at home, about a 108, 110 favorite, and Littell 8.5 basically across the board on the total. I was looking at a way to play St. Louis here. Don't know if I'll get here. If you take a look at Zach Littell, 3.78 ERA, 4.60 expected, 1.12 whip. He doesn't walk anybody, and he's got a pretty good chase rate, but everything else is in the blue. He has not had that great of a season, even though his ERA is good at 3.78. I'm not a buyer in him, like I said. The last 3 years, he beat his expected ERA, and I just don't think he's that great of a pitcher. Not that he doesn't have value at times, because anybody's got value based on the line of the game. But I'm not a big fan. Liberatore, I thought we'd get more out of Liberatore in this time in his career. He's in 4 seasons. He got a 4.71 ERA, 1.38 whip. It's starting to show that he is not anything special. His chase rate's decent at 67%. Doesn't walk anybody, 79th percentile. But once again, we see a lot of blue on his StatCast page. So we got 2 pitchers I would look to go against, but we're getting an 8.5 here as opposed to an 8. Don't know if I'll get there with the over, especially Cincinnati. Who can trust them anymore, especially on the road? So this is a game I'll be sitting out, but hats off to St. Louis. They've been out of it for so long. They've had a lot of injuries on this team to some key players, and yet they come out and they continue to play well. That's an organizational situation. They're a very good organization, and I've been to a lot of major league ballparks across the country, and St. Louis has got very knowledgeable fans. When there's a fly ball hit, they don't go crazy like every other sport. They look where the outfielders are at. And it's something I taught my wife years ago. Just look at the outfielders when the ball is hit. If they're not moving, it's not a home run.
Yeah.
Unless it's really hit 450 feet and they just stand there and watch it. But I'm not going to get involved in this one.
Yeah, if the outfielders are jogging slowly towards the fence, it's usually a home run. But yeah, here's one. If you checked my Twitter account, my Twitter X account, I did post a bet slip on this. So I kind of agree with Brian's cap, but I kind of gonna go the opposite direction, and I'll tell you why. But before I do that, go to WagerTalk.com to see what we have up. I already put my feature MLB play up with a free play as well. I'm sure these 2 gentlemen will be doing the same thing if they have not already. So WagerTalk.com. Check the free play page because we all usually have something up. I agree with Brian. Neither pitcher has good history against the batters they're facing today, and neither pitcher gets a lot of confidence from me because neither one has been performing very well. So got to look somewhere to find some value. Again, I agree with Brian. I would lean to an over, given the fact that both starting pitchers are struggling, especially against in the head-to-head. But neither lineup is actually instilling confidence in me either. They're both ranked 21 or worse out of 30 teams in current form. And both bullpens are basically kind of average, toiling in mediocrity, as I like to say. Cincinnati's slight edge in bullpen. This is one of those games where I have one team better at every category than the other team, but just better by like 1 or 2 points. So it's not a huge confidence. But I got Cincinnati ranked higher than St. Louis in almost every category, but only by a couple points. Another thing I like more about Littell than I like about Liberatore is his walk to strikeout rate. He's only walking 27% of the batters he's striking out, where Liberatore is walking about 40%. But I don't see huge discrepancy between these 2 teams anywhere else besides there. But just the fact that the Reds are a little bit better at almost everything than St. Louis. If you checked my Twitter account, you saw I did put a small $20 bet on the Reds -1. -1 is one of those things where if your team wins, you don't lose your money. So I look at it as a very low risk bet. And I got the Reds -1 at, I think, plus 145. So it's worth a $20 play to win $47 to me. Because I have these 2 teams, the second most equal cap of the day. But the Reds a little bit better at almost everything. So I think it was worth a small play there. But nothing huge.
Mark Martin in the chat says, if anyone has Caesars, tonight's matchup between the Texans and Bucks, you can get like a price that's 50 cents off market. I'll always point something like that out. That's just folks helping folks here trying to beat the books. Like if there's ever a scenario where a book is going to give you a bet at plus 115 that the market is minus 150 at, you should probably try to find a way to get down on it. Just straight up numbers. I mean, that happens every once in a while. So thanks for sharing that, Mark. I will share, if I play Major League Baseball today, I'm going to give it out for free. I have a 5% NFL play up. I did lose my first NFL game of the season yesterday, but I'm still 5-1, and I have a 5%er that goes in Monday Night Football tonight. So check that out. And like I said, if I do get to the window with a Major League Baseball game today, it's going to be a free one. And maybe, who knows, maybe it'll happen on the show. But if it doesn't happen on the show, I'll probably do a video for it or post the write-up. So I will not be selling Major League Baseball today. Just tell you that right now. Not committing to playing it, though, because there's only 9 games. So I got to see if I can find a way in. The way I would go into this one probably won't be a client play, but I kind of do see runs. Not enamored with either of these starting pitchers. Both have, like we kind of use this term, but both have a lot of blue on the StatCast page. Expected ERA is not, expected batting average, not great. Matthew Liberatore isn't getting a ton of swing and miss in the zone. He gets guys to chase pitches, but when it comes time to like punch him out and he's got to sort of come back into the zone or he's behind in the count a little bit, it's very much out over the heart of the plate. I think that's been one of the big reasons he hasn't really taken a step forward. He's almost like, man, the Rays traded him. If the Rays are willing to part ways with someone, there's got to be something wrong with them at this point. I think just going off topic here, I'm pretty sure this is who they scammed the Cardinals for to get Randy Rosarena back as like a player to be named later in a trade. It's like just like an all-time fleece job by the Rays, who are just very good at doing that. Point I'm trying to make here is a very roundabout point. He's looked very average. I think he may, you look at his last 3 years, whips like 1.3, 1.38, ERAs in the mid 4s. My gut and my eyes are telling me that that's probably what he is. He's just kind of a consistently okay big league starter, someone you want to you keep in your rotation because he's consistent. But I just don't know that he's like shutting many teams down, and I don't think he's going to shut the Reds down. On the other side, like Brian said about Littell, I mean, expected ERA is 4.60, expected batting average 270. Those are not great. Only throwing like 91 miles an hour. Not now, again, no strikeout there either. I guess his best attribute is he doesn't walk anyone, but like that's not great if you're being in and around the plate is a good thing. Being out over the plate, not a good thing. These are big league hitters. They can hit that. And then I'll go back to the fact that we're getting the nice number of 8.5. I love that number on an over because both teams get to 4 and you're cashing a ticket in Major League Baseball. So I like the over here. Probably won't make my card, but that is the way I look at this game. I also think both teams have bullpens that can be had, if you will, that can give up a timely hit or two. And these 2 games, and Mets don't play today. So these 2 games we've started the show with today, there's a half game to be made up if you win. I mean, they're all going to be going for it. And this game in particular, my gut tells me Reds-Cardinals have a late run or two, a late hit. None of these teams have like super high leverage arms that I trust. So again, that just helps me to over 8.5 runs. Sorry, were one of you going to follow up there? I rambled, which is not, it's par for the course for me.
We can go to a different one.
All right. Sorry about that. All right. Let's go to a different game. Let's stay in. I want to make sure we'll get to some of the quote unquote meaningless games, but I do want to try to focus on some of the games with meaning. I'm going to go to the American League here. Rangers Astros is suddenly a very important, well, not suddenly. It's just a very important game. Brian said he missed with the Rangers yesterday, but they've been playing great. They've played their way back into the mix. The NL West, don't look now, but there's my Mariners back at the top of the division by a game. And the Rangers are 3 back. So when I gave out on my free pick video last Tuesday, the Rangers were 12-1 to win this division. And this was the series I had circled where it's like, this is the series they need to have success in, and they might be able to run down the Astros. Well, here we are. Rangers did their job last week, 7-3 in their last 10 games. They're 3 games back, and they get head-to-head games against the, one of the teams that they're chasing here in the Astros. I've liked Jack Leiter. He's someone that I think is moving in the right direction. So, Brian Leonard, do you think he's good enough to get the Rangers a win on the road here?
It's going up against Jason Alexander of Houston, and Houston's about a 125 favorite, total 8.5 to the under. Jack Leiter, yeah, he's pitched better lately. I think he got hit pretty well his last start, but overall, I like the way you put that very well. He's trending in the right direction, and I agree, because his numbers are not overall great. 3.81 ERA, 4.63 expected, 1.31 WHIP. His fastball velocity is very good. His extension is very good. He's only 6'1", but got 89th percentile extension. Those are the highlights. Everything else is in the blue. So he shows you how poorly he pitched in many times this season. But I think he's going up there. He's got the good fastball, 97.2 miles an hour. And he throws it 38% of the time. One of the few guys that probably could get away with throwing it even more. And I don't say that much about fastballs, but he's had good success there. Jason Alexander. He's pitched better than what I thought this year. 4.19 ERA, 4.57 expected, 1.31 WHIP. But he can't get any chases at all. He's in the first percentile in chase rate, hard hit rate, 11th percentile, fastball velocity, 10th percentile. He's really not a good pitcher. And for him to come in this season with a 4-1 record, obviously they scored some runs when he is on the mound. But out of the two, I prefer Leiter. We're looking at a weaker Texas lineup than what we saw earlier. Obviously, Seager's been out. He's out for the rest of the year. They've had some other guys that are disappointed offensively. But if I play it, Texas is probably the only way I go. But I don't think we're getting enough here. You can catch 113 as the best comeback on Texas, as low as, plus 100 right now. But I prefer the Texas side. I'm just not getting the number I wanted. So, unfortunately, I'll probably sit this one out.
Yeah, guys, go to WagerTalk.com and see what we have up. My feature MLB play is already up along with a free play, so go grab that. Some of my casino betting tickets are posted on Twitter right now, so check my Twitter out as well. I agree with Brian. I'm not going to play this game, and I'll tell you why. 2 pitchers who have 1.3 plus whips. Not a lot of confidence in that, but Leiter is a strange guy because he's got a really good ERA with a pretty bad whip. Take a look at his head-to-head stats against these batters. Not a huge sample size, but 33 is decent. 212 batting average against with a 740 OPS. Not terrible. It's actually pretty good. But if you take a look at his rankings, I have Alexander ranked quite a bit higher than him, so I'm kind of at a stalemate there. Don't really know what to make. It's kind of the pitching matchup here is kind of an enigma to me. Texas definitely has a bullpen advantage in current form. I have them ranked 5 while I have Houston ranked 13, but both bullpens performing quite well. So over, under, not sure. Let's take a look at the batting. I got the Astros batting just a little bit better in current form, about 5 points higher. A stalemate for me, guys. I don't know which way to go here. I think Jason Alexander is a better pitcher, but if you peel back the skin of the onion or whatever that saying is, Leiter is actually a pretty decent pitcher. He was one of my chronic walkers at the beginning of the season, but he's kind of cured that a little bit. So I'm not going to bet his walk prop here either. So don't really know where to go. I'm with Brian here. I'll probably lay off this game.
Someone needs to explain to me how Jason Alexander has not gotten absolutely pummeled at the big league level this year. I need someone to give me a thorough explanation of how that's possible. This dude should be getting lit up like a Christmas tree, but he's just not. And sometimes there's something to that, right? He gets no swing and miss. So it's like everything's in the zone. He essentially throws 4 pitches, none of which he doesn't have like a plus pitch. So when I see a guy that I think should be getting hit, I'm trying to figure out like, okay, why does this guy not get hit? Okay. And so I look for swing and miss. Well, he's not getting any swing and miss. Does he have a really good pitch? Does he have a really good differential that's confusing someone? Not really. Sinker chain sweeper, four-seamer, 90 to 92 on his fastballs, an 80-mile-an-hour changeup. It's not like he has this great wipeout sweeper. So I look at him just like, how is this guy not getting crushed by big league hitting? I don't know. My gut says he still should be getting crushed by big league pitching. I meant big league pitching. Sorry. So I can only go against that. I cannot understand how he's getting outs. Like, what did he do in his last start? 7 scoreless, something crazy like that. 7 scoreless against the Blue Jays. What am I like? I need to know what I'm missing here. How is he going against the Blue Jays and not giving up a single run? I mean, he's right-handed pitcher. So then I'm like, is he a lefty? Is he like kind of crafty? Does he confuse guys? I can't figure it out. I feel like this guy should be getting crushed at the big league level. Now, Colin makes a good point. He goes, Astros system working their magic with a random pitcher. They definitely have done that at times. So maybe he's, and he did not one thing I'll also point out, he did not start the year in the Astros system. So some of those numbers, he was with the A's. I do think he got a call up with the A's earlier this year for a period of time. Got knocked around, ended up down at Sugarland. Now he's with the Astros. I still have to look to fade him. And as far as Jack Leiter's concerned, I'll say this again. I said this last week when he came up. I think the Rangers maybe mismanaged him in the minors a little bit here. So last year, Jack Leiter, very young top prospect. Typically, you don't call these guys up on a win. And the Rangers did it like 3 times last year where it was like emergency 27th man for a doubleheader. They called up Leiter. He got crushed. Bad situation for him. Then he goes down to the minors. He's pitching well again. I remember it was the A's because the A's called up Osvaldo Bido on the same day. And it was like, okay, let's just throw the 2 AAA starters that were supposed to pitch that day in the mix. Leiter gets called up, crushed. So it's like they kind of killed his confidence last year. And then this year, he's at the big league level. And suddenly, like, he's got stuff to work out. And they're trying to have him do it at the big league level. So when you look at his profile, it's like he's got this great fastball, 98 miles an hour. Big arm, big time heater, great extension. And it's like he just hasn't really developed the out pitches yet. But that's where I say he's trending in the right direction because I think that stuff is now, we're in mid-September. I think he started to develop that a little bit. And I think you've seen it with him like post All-Star break. He's been much better. So when I look at this game, Leiter's a guy I want to bet on. Alexander's a guy I want to fade. I'm not in love with how many relievers the Rangers have used the last week or so, but I've said this all year about the Rangers bullpen. They don't have like these big time leverage arms. It's more of a depth thing. So it's like the 6th guy out of the Rangers pen is like kind of the same as the 1st or 2nd. So I'm less concerned about Rangers bullpen usage than I would be like, let's say another team that has like huge closer 8th inning guy. And then there's a big drop off. So I'm definitely considering the Rangers here. I don't know if it's going to be my parlay leg. I want to see how the rest of the show plays out. But plus 110 on the Rangers in this spot seems very intriguing with Leiter against Alexander. Okay. Let's go to I want to go to Mark Kinson. Somehow lost his comment. I lost his comment. Anyway, Mark Kinson wants to talk Rays Jays. I don't know where the comment went, but it's there somewhere. And he wants to talk Rays Jays. And I'm fine with that. This, Brian, I think this is a great illustration of why there's like more value in Major League Baseball than any of the other pro sports, because you just don't get the nuance like you do in other pro sports, where you have a team like the Blue Jays who are probably going to win their division and they're going to call up one of their young guys and a lot of people are really not sure why. And I think if you can like kind of understand how some of this stuff works, it's a good assessment of value. So I'll let you start, but this looks like Blue Jays Rays. We should see the Major League debut here of Trey Savage for the Blue Jays. Do you have a starter for the Rays yet?
I don't.
I think it might be Boyle. I think it might be Joe Boyle, but I don't know if that's confirmed at this time.
Yesterday they put Pepio up quickly and then took it down. So maybe it's not going to be him.
So I guess, yeah. I mean, I guess we just, I don't see anything listed yet. I'll try to find it on Twitter, but I know we're going to see Trey Savage for the Blue Jays, which is notable. One of the top pitching prospects in their organization, and he's going to make his big league debut. So for Mark Kinson, let's talk Rays Jays.
We're looking at basically a 110 to 115 favorite for Toronto. Tampa Bay, obviously, don't know who the pitcher is right now, but we're looking either 8.5 over or 9 under. This is a guy, if you're a Toronto fan, I think you're got some great excitement there. He's a major strikeout pitcher. So I can see their announcers saying after a strikeout, "Yes, Savage." I think that would be awesome. But he's their number one prospect. He's only 22 years old, and that is a concern bringing him up at 22. And he's not pitched a lot of innings. This year he's gone about 150 or so on 4150. But in the majors, I'm looking for him to have some pretty good success here. Major strikeout guy. And at age 22, we'll see how it goes. He is a righty. And normally when guys come up that aren't known, I prefer lefties over righties. But I think they're going to bring him up. They said they want the best arms in their bullpen when they get to the playoffs. So they'll let him start. I don't know how long he'll go. He'll probably go normal time. But when he's used in the playoffs, probably you may see him as a bullpen arm. Unless, of course, he, for some reason, has a lot of success like the Mets pitcher. And if it does, he'll be there until they decide that he's thrown too many innings. So we'll see how it goes. Maybe he'll be an opener of some sort. But the rest of the regular season, he's coming out of the bullpen. Can't comment on Tampa Bay because we don't know who the starting pitcher is. But the line's somewhat favorable here for Toronto, considering they're still fighting to win that division, and Tampa Bay is long out of it. It's a cheap number if you believe in Toronto. You can't do anything but go up from here. So I think it's if you're looking to bet it, get in on them now, and maybe you can beat some line movement or something.
Yeah, there's a lot of X factors in this game. Looking up Trey Savage, what does he have? 160 strikeouts in 98 innings. Pretty good stuff. A little bit high ERA in his minor league career, but Adam will probably talk about that a little more than I will. So yesterday, when Pepio was the listed starter, kind of was leaning towards Tampa Bay, but simply because you have an established pitcher against the guy who's making his major league debut, I would see a little value there. But now that Tampa Bay has changed it to undecided, look, I have both of these bullpens pretty equal in current form. One of them 13, one of them 14. So not a huge discrepancy or value there. Tampa Bay definitely has the hitting advantage, though. Or I'm sorry, Toronto definitely has the hitting advantage. I got them ranked number 2 in MLB, where I got Tampa Bay ranked 15 in current form. So where does that put us? Still a lot of X factors, but I think a kid making his debut with a power-packed lineup behind him, given how electric he's been in the minors, maybe a slight advantage here for Toronto. I'm seeing minus 120 or something. I don't know. That might be a little bit too steep for someone making his MLB debut. A lot of X factors here, but I think Toronto will probably win the game, but too many X factors to play it for me.
Really good point before I get into my breakdown by Turnbuckle Tommy. You'll see movement all day up till game time. Books really aren't confident in their MLB numbers until right before first pitch. That is a very that's a very observant and like astute observation. I think that's very accurate. They're never confident in the overnight. You really can't get much down on MLB overnights anymore in many places. A lot of books have sort of limited your ability to like bet big overnight. And it's for that reason. They're just not confident in what these teams are going to do. Like I say, Joe Boyle here for the Rays, like he was supposed to pitch for Durham yesterday and he got scratched. So that's where I'm getting that. I really have no clue if he's going to be their starter, but I know that he was supposed to start for Durham yesterday. He got scratched at the last second. That typically means big league club called and said, hey, we need a starter for tomorrow. You're not going to use him. Throw someone else out there. So that's what they did, and that's why I'm saying Boyle. Now, I've watched every inning of Trey Savage at the AAA level since he's been called up. First of all, this dude will be playing in his 5th different level of affiliated ball this year, which is kind of crazy. He started in A ball, not high A. He started in single A, and he's gone single A, high A, double A, triple A, and now he will be pitching in the majors tonight. The reason I say you really need to know like the nuance of the situation is they will be looking at him here. I feel like he's going to be kind of an opener for this game. The Buffalo Bison's broadcast talked about this like last week. The Blue Jays are looking at him as a relief option. They want to see if he can be like a 1-inning option. They've actually gone as far as to bring him out of the bullpen in minor league games. I think he will likely start this one, but I think you're going to see him maybe 2 innings. So that's the only like concerning thing for me is that I don't think this is like a start. I think this is like maybe see if you can get the Rays' top 4 or 5 hitters out. I'd be shocked if this is more than like a 2-inning outing for him. I will see. I mean, he's gone so far at AAA. His longest outing at AAA was 4 2/3. But that was about a month ago. The last 3 times he hasn't pitched more than 3 innings, and I believe 2 of those were relief appearances. And then last week against Rochester, he took the first 3 innings. They could have easily took him out. The 3 innings he pitched against Rochester, or they could have easily left him out there. Sorry. Last week, the 3 innings he pitched against Rochester at the beginning of the game, 4 strikeouts, no walks, got every batter out. So it's like it wasn't like they couldn't have just left him out there for the 4th inning. I think he went 9 up, 9 down. What I've noticed in his big league in his AAA starts is guys are not chasing quite as much. His walk rate is a little bit up. That makes sense, right? You're facing more veteran hitters, but the strikeout rate is still there. The stuff is so nasty. I don't really know what to do here because it's like I think he could come out and be filthy, but I don't think you're going to see it for more than 2 or 3 innings. So you're going to have to figure out what this Blue Jays bullpen is going to do for 7 innings or 6 innings. And that hasn't been great, right? The Blue Jays bullpen over the last 2-3 months really hasn't been that great. So, and I like Joe Boyle. If it does in fact end up being Joe Boyle, he's not someone that I'm like dying to bet against. So just my take on the game, probably no way in it for me, but TB, you know what? Do they still have first 3 innings at any of these books? Is that still a thing?
They do.
It was.
Yeah,
for a minute.
DraftKings does. I know they have first 3 like totals. I'm not sure if they have sides though.
If you could
But
get
yeah,
like a
DraftKings
first,
offers,
if you could,
DraftKings
so
offers first 3, first 5, first 7.
I thought they did. If you can get
Yeah.
here's the thing. What I've noticed about first 3 and first 5 is a lot of times they just copy paste. They don't really change it very much. If you could find a first 3 innings Blue Jays line or a first 3 innings under, that's like the most likely scenario here. I think he comes out, wipes out the Rays' top 5 or 6 hitters, but I don't think he's in long. So if you can find a way to like isolate that, that's like the way you would play the Savage here in my opinion. Also, no, I'm not drinking a twisted tea. I haven't seen a twisted tea in like 10 years. I didn't even know that still existed, but I do have a Minute Maid zero sugar right here. Someone's like, is Trig hammering twisted teas on a Monday morning? After my weekend, I mean, I guess you could say that might be a possibility. After watching Travis Kelce try to catch a football, I wanted to drink a few twisted teas, but no, I'm drinking a sugar-free lemonade right here. Okay, let's move on. Here we go. Let's go to Mark Martin. He said, Brian Leonard, he's asking you specifically, and you're going to start anyway, so this is great. He says, it's the Phillies at plus 115 in auto play. So right over to you on the Phillies. I forgot who they're even playing. Hold on. Dodgers. Oh, well, of course we have to talk about this game. Then Phillies, Dodgers. Go ahead.
I can't believe we've gone this long without talking about this game. You get probably the 2 best teams in the National League going head-to-head here. Interesting game. You got Ranger Suarez, the lefty, who will finish in the top 5 in the Cy Young. He's been terrific all season long. Emmett Sheehan going for the Dodgers. And I like Emmett Sheehan. He's starting to come around. He's starting to pitch a lot better. And there's actually talk now that he may make the rotation next year, which was a long shot if they were all healthy. But we've got Sheehan coming in basically at about a 120 favorite, a total of 8.5 here. And you're looking at Ranger Suarez, 2.77 ERA, 2.97 expected. Other than his fastball velocity, which is only in the 7th percentile, he's not going to blow anybody away in that regard. 91.3 on his four-seamer, and only throws it 14% of the time. His numbers are awesome for the most part. He doesn't have great extension. He's only 6'1", but his hard hit percentage, 99th percentile. Average exit velocity, 97th percentile. And you got the Phillies offense, which is pretty good. The Dodgers, Emmett Sheehan, 3.32 ERA, 3.51 expected, 1.09 whip. His ball rate is a concern in the 7th percentile because this is a pretty good home run hitting ballpark in LA. Barrel rate 10%, hard hit 23. I like Emmett Sheehan. I do, but I'm the same thing as the person who requested this game. I think Philadelphia plus money here is a decent bet. How often are you going to get Ranger Suarez with this team getting him plus money? You can get plus up to 109 Pinnacle right now, but as low as plus 100 other places. But this is a game that got hit a few minutes ago. Atlanta got hit, and the Yankees have been hit a little bit. But this one, if I'm going to play a side, this may be one of them that I may take a look at. I like Philadelphia here. Don't be scared off with the plus with the small plus price. As much as I like Sheehan, I think the Phillies have the better pitcher, and the Dodgers bullpen, even though they've got all that great talent, I don't know if I trust them. And from a hitting standpoint, two very good teams, but the Dodgers have some weak spots in that lineup where Philadelphia's is better 1 through 9, I believe. And the game probably means a little something for Philadelphia, even though they've racked it all up and they've got it all tied up for the division and everything. They are playing the Dodgers, and that gets everybody excited. So, yeah, somewhat like Philadelphia here.
What an amazing turnaround this Dodger bullpen has made. I got them in current form. I got them. They've seemed to have turned things around. I got them ranked number 9, where I got Phillies bullpen ranked 20 in current form. That doesn't mean that's what their talent level is. It means current form. There's a lot of factors that go into that. Meaningful. If you're playing meaningless games, your bullpen numbers are going to suffer because you're not leveraging your best arms. So there's a lot of factors there. Two teams that are hitting great. I have both teams in the top 4 in MLB in current form hitting. So I'm impressed with Sheehan as well. I mean, if you cover his name, look at his 3 ERA with a 109 whip. You would think that this is Tyler Glasnow or Ian Snell, not Sheehan. But so Dodgers have a pretty formidable pitcher on the mound as well. Phillies have Ranger Suarez. So Suarez actually has been touched up a little bit against these batters in his career, though. An 87 sample size at bats, 313 average, and an 845 OPS. So who's doing the damage? Well, Miguel Rojas, not the guy you would expect, and Freddie Freeman. A lot of guys are 9-4. We got Mookie Betts 9-4 against him. Conforto 2 for 8. And he looks like he's never faced Ohtani before. So I don't know. I would lean Dodgers, but too close to play, actually. I just have these, sometimes this is why it's hard to win playoff in almost any league, because when you have solid teams going against solid teams, there's less of a gap there. So as future predictors, which is what sports betting is predicting the future, you want to find these gaps between the teams where you can take advantage of a good price. There's less gaps when you have two really talented teams like this. So I don't really see a gap. I would probably take advantage of Ranger Suarez's poor numbers against these batters in his career and go with the Dodgers, but it's not really enough for me to play it.
TB, I know you meant to say Blake Snell, but like I haven't thought about Ian Snell in forever.
Oh,
and I
whoops.
had a flashback. No, you said Ian Snell, and I had a
Yeah.
flashback to those horrible
6 o'clock.
Mariners teams that were such a good fade for like a year. I think Ryan Roland Smith like forgot how to pitch, and you could just have like bet against the Mariners every night and you made money. It was I think Ian Snell, you have to go like maybe 10 years ago. Mariners.
Yeah. Whoops.
They were really
Pirates.
bad. No, that's a great name pull right there, even though it was unintentional. I just have not heard that name in a minute. But I'll tell you what, going back to this game, going into next season, this is a profile. Ranger Suarez is a profile that I'm going to circle. Like, and these are the types of guys I think you just want to bet on because they're criminally undervalued in Major League Baseball today. What do I mean by that? It's a guy that has command. It's a starting pitcher that doesn't throw particularly hard. So they're not flashy. So they might not have crazy strikeout numbers. The books, they're not everyone's favorite pitcher when it comes to props and stuff like that. But they have command of all 5 of their pitches and they throw them all well. There's no holes. There's no pitch that you can really sit on. You look at a Ranger Suarez is fast. What does he throw? 91 miles an hour on the heater, but he's using it as a show me pitch. He throws it 15% of the time. And he's really only using it to say, look at this. He's never throwing it in an area where you can do anything with it. And then it's basically sinker, change, cutter, curve, and he can throw them all for strikes. And today's hitter just can't hit that because today's hitter is not Tony Gwynn, right? Who in his worst season hit 290, I think. Is that correct? I think that's accurate. I think like the worst stretch of his career, his worst 162 game stretch, he hit close to 300. And you just don't have hitters that approach the game like that anymore. And it's making these types of pitchers very underrated. Kyle Hendricks might be like one of the best points of this, what we've talked about him on the show, where it's like you have guys that like they should be getting crushed by big league hitters, but big league hitters don't go up there with this approach of like, I just want to do anything possible to get on base, put the ball in play, move it along to the next guy. And then you get a guy like Ranger Suarez who throws 90, but it's like he can put the ball where he wants. And all of these lineups or every big, like, look at his numbers. Look at the underlying numbers. It's all red. It's all really good. So it's like, there's no way I'm betting against him. And there's no way I'm laying a price to bet against him. So to go back to the initial comment, Mark Martin, why would you lay a price to fade that? Right? Like I could only bet the Phillies here. And I do like Sheehan TV. Like I like him as well. Mm-hmm. So maybe you could look at the under. But why would you lay a price to fade someone like Suarez? Go ahead, TB.
I can't let you disrespect Tony Gwynn like that. His career batting average was 338.
Yes, I know. I'm saying the worst
162 games.
Worst 162 game stretch of his career, he still hit like 291. Like that is
He was an amazing batter. The best batter I've ever seen in my life, hands down.
We're getting down to it, guys. We haven't put out any plays yet. So let me
all right.
Let me go off the board here. I'm going to take a look at this Cubs-Pittsburgh game. Tyon against Ashcraft. Tyon right now is about a 115, 120 favorite. Ashcraft 8. And I am going to play the Chicago Cubs team total under 4.5 here. The wind's blowing in slightly, 6 miles an hour, not a lot, but this is a very good pitcher's park. The Cubs, if you go back their last 10 games, I believe, they've scored 5 runs or less in either 6 or 7 of the 10. They're going without their best hitter. He's on the IL again. And I really like Ashcraft going for Pittsburgh. And we also have a Pittsburgh bullpen that is available. Braxton Ashcraft, 2.47 ERA, 3.51 expected, 1.20 whip. Great barrel percentage, 97th percentile. Great ground ball rate. He doesn't give up a lot of hard hits. I'm going to play the Chicago Cubs team total under 4.5 and lay the 140.
Should I continue with this game?
No, we have time. Continue with this game. What do you got with Cubs Pirates, TV?
Yeah. Another real tight game between these two. I got the Cubs hitting better and a better bullpen. Actually, the Cubs, I have in current form, I have their bullpen ranked number 2 in MLB. But Brian's right. Ashcraft has been amazing. My numbers love him. And the Cubs hitting, despite being higher than Pittsburgh, I still have them ranked 18 in current form. So if you take a pitcher who's performing this well against the number 18 lineup, I certainly would not disagree with Brian's team total under there.
Yeah, I've said this pretty much all year since he came up. Big fan of Braxton Ashcraft. I think the Pirates actually, I was confused why they wanted him pitching out of the bullpen when they called him up, but I actually really think it helped him a ton. I think it showed him what his max sort of potential is, because they were putting him in a situation where it was like, hey, go out 3 or 4 innings, throw hard. And I think they're doing the same thing with Bubba Chandler to an extent, or at least they tried to. So I really am a fan of Ashcraft. Another reason I'm a fan of him is he's kind of gotten maybe a little bit like, well, at least, when he was in the minors and stuff and coming up, when you got guys like Skeens and Chandler and you have all these pitching prospects, he was forgotten about a little bit. And he's arguably, he's as good as anyone else in that organization. In any other organization, he would be probably the top guy in the minors. So I think he's been able to fly under the radar a little bit. Maybe not so much now, but there's still value when you play a team like the Cubs. As Brian said, the Cubs, they haven't really hit since the All-Star break. So why expect them to hit now against a guy that's done really nothing but throw the ball great the second half of the season? I think Ashcraft is a stud. I just think to what this Pirates rotation could be next year. It's, you could have Skeens, Ashcraft, Chandler, Jared Jones. I mean, my God, like this team should be awesome next year. And it's been part of my point this whole September was your 2 spoilers for me were going to be the Orioles and the Pirates, teams that were going to be way better than where their market price was. I kind of see that today. I make the Pirates a slight favorite here. So I'm fine. I very much agree with Brian's assessment of this, and his number on team total under is likely better than Pirates plus 1.5, which is minus 150. So I think you found a good way to play it as well. What juice are you looking for right there?
Minus 140. You can get cheaper, but most of them right now are at minus 140.
Yeah, and if you can't if you can't play a team total under in a parlay, you're roughly the same price if you went Pirates plus 1.5. It's minus 150. That's the way I would play it personally, but I'm by no means am I disagreeing with. It's basically the same bet in my opinion. You need Ashcraft to pitch well if you like the Pirates, and you need Ashcraft to pitch well if you're going to hit that Cubs team total under. Okay, TB, do you know what game you want to put in the parlay? Because we've already talked about my leg, so I'll go to you.
Yeah, I would like to do my leg in the Yankees-Twins game. I'm going to cheat and be a cheap ass again. I'm going to take the Yankees here at minus 190 on the money line. I like Rodon a lot better than I like Woods Richardson. Yeah, that's his name. Okay. I forgot if it's Richardson Woods or something. It's like he's Hillary Rodham Clinton or something. Anyways, Woods Richardson has not been good. Despite his 6.4 record, he still has a 1.39 whip. Just don't like it. And I think he has been pitching. Let's see, in a second. Rodon's been pitching just lights out. He's been great. The one thing that alarms me a little bit here is Rodon is not a really good road pitcher, but I don't think that'll be much of a deterrent here because he's just been so good. Even though his road numbers are worse than his home numbers, it's still 3.34 ERA. It's pretty good stuff. I know ERA is not the tell-all stat, but it's a good indication about how well. I got some weird video playing. Hang on, let me turn it on. There we go. So in his career against these batters, 45 at-bats against, he's got a 156 average and a 431 OPS against in 45 at-bats. That's pretty good stuff. Yankees are just a better team, and they're kind of on a roll here despite getting crushed by Boston. I did have Boston yesterday, by the way, but I think the Yankees bounce back here. Parlay, I'll take minus 190. That's fine with me.
Colin says it's his play of the day. You're not going to get any argue from me there. Obviously the juice is high on just them to win, but you're putting in a parlay. No argument for me. I have a pretty big edge to the Yankees there as well. I'll close it out with the Rangers. that was kind of how I was going to go. I wanted to see how the rest of the show played out, but I really think the Rangers are the correct side here. I think Jason Alexander is going to get pummeled at the big league level at some point. And even if he doesn't, I still like where Leiter is going. So, Brian, are we still looking at like plus 110 for the Rangers?
Yeah, it's basically plus 110. There's a couple 14s, and there's also some plus 104. So plus 110 is about average.
I have a feeling I have a feeling the Rangers might take some money throughout the day as well. Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if that went off closer to even money. So TB, I'll balance off the Yankees favorite a little bit with some plus money, and we are right, like, very big couple weeks for us coming up here. We are pretty much dead even on parlays this year after we lost on Friday. So we got to have a big week on the parlays, at least hit a couple to keep us in the plus for the year. And this one, I just want to make sure I've got this correct. So this one comes out to plus 454. So really not that bad, considering we've got a nice sizable favorite with the Yankees in there. Plus 454 is pretty solid. And I will read that off one more time to close out the show. We have Brian Leonard, Cubs team total under 4.5. Tokyo Brandon says Yankees minus 185. And then I'm going to go with Rangers plus 110. So you've got 3 full game bets: Rangers, Yankees, Cubs team total under 4.5. Hopefully we kick off the week. The fact that we have 1,000 people in here live watching Major League Baseball and football season has started is awesome. We love that. Let's keep that energy up through the playoffs. We're not going anywhere. We'll be back tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. Eastern. We all have plays up on the site. Go over to the replay. If you've missed any of the show, as always, go to the replay and on the WagerTalk YouTube channel. While you're there, maybe drop us a like and a subscribe. Hope everyone has a great Monday. We will see you guys back 9 a.m. tomorrow morning. More Total Bases.
Buccaneers at the Texans, Chargers, and Lays. Andy and Andrew McGinnis going to be breaking down 2 games for Monday Night Football. And, of course, we're going to give you all the props that we have and a same-game parlay in the Chargers and the Raiders. Andrew, happy Monday. How are you, sir?
Happy Monday, Andy. Looking forward to a big night tonight with 2 games. What a start, early on in the season. But yesterday ended up being about a split for me. So 2-0 on Thursday Night Football yesterday. Had potential to be great. The Miami Dolphins had other things to say about it. We move on to hopefully a great Monday night. How are you?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm good. It's 6-5 this week, so I got 2 props going tonight. There is a pack up for those 2 props tonight, so looking for another winning week. 8-6 last week, so let's bring the profits home, baby. Let's talk this Buccaneers at Texans team or game. Texans, it looks like they have not figured out their offensive line issues as of week 1 here. Let's start with the passing props. Baker Mayfield, CJ Stroud. I'm going to you first. What's your take on these passing props in this one?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to kind of steal one from you. Throwback to last year. I'm going to take the over 1.5 passing touchdowns for Baker Mayfield. And man, we're getting a really good price here. I locked in plus 122, 7 straight games he's hit this. And actually, in this particular matchup, I feel like he's going to have to throw the ball a lot more. And I don't really expect to see many rushing touchdowns. Houston's going to make it tough for them on the goal line and make it tough for them in the red zone. And I feel like Houston's going to get some points. So I think the Bucs are going to have to throw the ball quite a bit. And we're going to see Baker potentially down early on. So over 1.5 passing touchdowns is a look for me. You mentioned last week, and you were spot on about this, about looking at in-game props sometimes for these passing props for the attempts. I feel like it could be a good day for that for Baker Mayfield. You know, if you do see Houston go ahead early, which I'm kind of projecting it that way, and you see them trying to run the ball, the Buccaneers early on, and then maybe it's not working, they're going to have to abandon the run and throw the ball. So maybe an in-game look towards the passing attempts look there for Baker Mayfield. But that's all I have for the passing one here for this game.
I think this game is going to be really close. The line is less than a field goal. I guess it's the home field that makes Houston the favorite here, but I'm going to CJ Stroud over 21.5 completions. I think this Tampa run defense is really good. They only allowed 2.9 yards per rush last week, and Penix was 27-42 against Tampa last week. CJ Stroud had a pretty pedestrian game. Nico Collins was a terrible disappointment for fantasy owners and for props on the overs last week. And I think at home, primetime game, they got to fix that. And this is the way to do it against Tampa. You go after their secondary. So I'm looking at Stroud to get over 21.5 completions. They have to figure out how to protect him. But again, Tampa really good against the rush. They struggle against the pass. That's the method of victory for Houston tonight. So. But I'm with you on that Baker. Plus money on Baker to throw 2 touchdowns. Yeah. That's all he does. So I'm with you 100% on that one. Let's move to the receiving props here. Coming to you again. If you like Baker, what receivers are we looking at here?
I just wanted to say that you mentioned last week about Jacoby Myers, and I think that he's going to be just an absolute stud every single week. So his number, I think, is a little bit low when we get to that game. I thought that was ridiculously low. We'll get to that, but I had that just on my page.
Oh, we're gonna get to my Jacoby Myers in the next.
Sorry,
game,
that just popped up on my page, but that is ridiculous there to look at. But the first guy I'm looking at, we're throwing it back with the old reliable with Mike Evans. I actually bet the alt number at 80 plus yards at plus 140. I just think right now he's going to be the most consistent guy for them. I think this Houston Texans defense, their secondary, can get exposed. And I expect them to actually do, last year they were about middle of the pack for both categories, against the rush and against the pass. But with Baker Mayfield and with Mike Evans, I think that he does a really good job of feeling comfortable with him, throwing the level of consistency. It's not always going to be a deep ball. It's not always going to be the most exciting and flashy play, but he's good for one big play per game, it seems. And for me, the target number he gets is very consistent. So I got 80 plus yards at plus 140. The other one I looked at for this game actually was Dalton Schultz. I think he's going to be targeted. I think that the tight end position will be a position that they can do well against with this Buccaneers team. And Stroud, I think last year, after a couple games, got a lot more comfortable with him. So hopefully he can kind of be that security blanket over the top and they can drive the field that way and get to Schultz. But I've got no unders with receiving because I do actually think we'll see some points in this game.
Dalton Schultz was number 1 on my list, actually, over 36.5 receiving. Schultz had only 28 last week, but Pitts had 7 catches for 59 yards against Tampa. So we've already seen one tight end get a lot of volume and have success and go over. So, yeah, I like Dalton Schultz as well. I'm going to take an under here on Ibuka under 4.5 receptions. I know he's the new shiny toy and caught 2 touchdowns, but he only had 4 catches last week. And I love your call on Mike Evans because if Houston is able to put pressure on Baker Mayfield, which they have injuries on the offensive line in Tampa, his safety blankets are going to be Mike Evans, maybe Cade Otton, maybe the running backs. Ibuka seems more like the big play guy that they're looking for, 1 or 2 big catches out of. But when Baker has pressure, who's he looking for? He's looking for the familiar faces and the numbers that he likes throwing to. I could see some shorter passes. I could see some crossing routes from Evans, Cade Otton, running backs. But Ibuka, 3 or 4 catches, but can he get to 5? That seems like an awful lot to me. So I will take the under on that one, a contrarian play for sure, as I'm sure nobody's excited playing under. No one's playing under on that guy tonight. So I think we're getting a good value here.
Would you take Bucky Irving over on receptions, Andy? That's what I actually wanted to ask you about, because look, I'm not sure your opinion. We're going to get to it in about 30 seconds with the rushing here, but we all know the Buccaneers defense. Do you think they're going to be? Do you think they're going to have to catch the ball quite a bit? I mean, do you think that Bucky Irving, based on the matchup here for Houston, excuse me, do you think they're going to have to catch the ball quite a bit? I think Bucky Irving could be utilized in the pass catching game this week a lot more.
Yeah, where was Rachaad White? What happened to him last week? It was the Bucky Irving show. So until further notice, yeah, I think we're gonna have to say, hey, Bucky's the guy, and Rachaad White maybe not. This is kind of looks like what's going on in the New England Patriots backfield, where it was like, oh, we got Travion Henderson, and like, nope, it's Ramondre Stevenson's job. Like, okay, I guess we got to depend on this guy. And it looks like the Bucky Irving show. It's only one game. But, yeah, I expected Rachaad White to be more of the third down back and catch a lot of passes, and that just wasn't the case. So, yeah, Bucky Irving, I'm going to stick to it. I think Houston can get pressure on Baker. I think Baker's going to have to throw short. Bucky Irving could be the big benefactor of that one. So I wouldn't talk you off of any of those bets. Let's move to the running backs and some rushing. I mean, Nick Chubb is the unquestioned starter here, which is just amazing. Good for him. I'm going under 13.5 rush attempts here, Andrew. Tampa, again, only allowed 2.9 yards per carry. Chubb had 13 carries last week. I just expect this to be a C.J. Stroud type of game. I would also expect them to try and mix in some more running backs. I know they did a decent job of not overloading Chubb, but again, you have to treat Nick Chubb with kids' gloves at this point. I mean, if he's your unquestioned starter right now, you can't be running him into the ground. So I would say 10 to 12 attempts is what I would be looking at for him. So 13.5 seems just a bit too high. So I'm going to go under on that. I think my favorite rushing prop, Andrew, is Baker over 16.5. This guy had 5 rushes for 39 yards last week. He's not scared to take off and run if he gets flushed out of the pocket. And with this banged-up offensive line of Tampa, I think there's going to be pressure up the middle. Don't be surprised to see Baker roll outside and get at least one long run. But this 16.5 seems way too low for a guy that rushed 5 times for 39 yards last week. Where are you going with running back props here, Andrew?
I like that because it can equally work for both of us. So I like the rushing attempts prop for Baker. A lot of the plays I like with the rushing categories for this game is just the attempts. And what kind of scares me, Andy, is I like the under on both of these RBs. I like Bucky Irving under 16.5 attempts, and I like Nick Chubb under the 13.5, particularly because I do think we could see Bucky Irving in the short pass catching game, which will obviously take away some of the rushing attempts there. But we talk about it there with Chubb. I think that he's going to be shut down completely. I think we know what the Buccaneers are really good against, and that is the rush. And I think that they're going to realize it right away and probably go against it. Maybe early on in the first quarter, he'll get some touches. But also one of the reasons for the Bucky Irving under is because what you just mentioned. I mean, if you have a crowded running back room, if you have a couple different options to run the ball there, it's taking away opportunities for you. And when your number is at 16.5, if you have a couple plays, I mean, every week we see people on social media complaining because it was a goal line play and their guy in fantasy didn't get to punch it in. It was somebody else that ran in, or they're bringing in a short yardage back. That's what can hurt him a little bit. And the Baker Mayfield one, you're right. I mean, 5 rushing attempts and puts off a handful of yards last week, but I still don't think he's that athletic. Like he's got the dog in him. But,
oh, come on!
I'll prefer to go with the over 3.5 attempts because Andy, when I'm watching the game,
shots
I don't have
fired. That's our guy. Baker's our guy. He's not that athletic.
I don't have to care what he does though. That's the best part. Like when you bet the attempts, he could literally run 1 yard and get destroyed, and it doesn't matter to me. Just pass that line of scrimmage, and it counts.
What is happening here, Andrew? You're complimenting him and insulting in the same sentence. What is this?
That's all I'm saying. Is that I feel more comfortable with the over 3.5 attempts here with this guy.
All right. I did not expect to start off the morning with Baker Mayfield love and hate, Andrew.
Hey, I said the 1.5 touchdown passes is plus money. All right, I'm going with some with that. But
now, how
know.
is he going to throw 2 touchdowns with no athleticism?
He's got a good arm. He's got a good arm.
Just to rehash this, the receptions thing, Andrew, I went back and looked. So Bucky Irving only had 8 yards receiving, but he had 4 catches, and they have this line at 2.5 this week. And Rachaad White, 1 catch, 1 catch and 2 carries for Rachaad White. So he was not involved in the slightest. It was a miscellaneous prop for everyone tonight. I mean, Fairbairn, the kicker for Houston, you can just take 2+ made field goals every single week. This is an offense that can sputter when he gets inside. He made 3 last week. This is just a rinse and repeat. Just play it every week. He's probably going to hit 11 times this year. So as long as you're getting a pretty decent price on it, it's just don't even have to research it. Don't have to overthink it. Just put in Houston's field goal kicker to make over 1.5 field goals. Did you have any miscellaneous props in this one? Anytime touchdown scores, anything like that?
Well, I was saying to you with the Sunday Night Football game, I wish I had some field goal props. That's for sure. I have no touchdown bets, but if I were, I think I missed last week with the TJ Hawkinson with the anytime touchdown. I think I'd probably go back to the tight end tonight and go with Dalton Schultz. So that's kind of what I would look for, but I have not bet that with my money.
Yeah, plus 265 is pretty good. Kate Otten plus 380. Someone, you know what's interesting here? So Mike Evans plus 155, Igbuka plus 175, Kate Otten plus 380. We both like Baker to throw 2 touchdowns. Someone's got to catch it. So,
one.
like,
Right,
one of those guys, sprinkle a couple. If he throws 2, you're going to cash at least one of them. You're getting plus money on all those. So I like those anytime touchdown props. Andrew, I know you got a promo code for a big play tonight. Congratulations, you hit your one last week. So let's make that 2 big plays in a row. Monday Night Football, what do you have up for everyone?
Yeah, this is my first play of the week 2 with a play 4% or higher. So I got a 4% play. Team total going tonight. Obviously 2 games. Looking forward to it. Promo code, very simple. Save 10. That will take $10 off tonight's best bets. So looking forward to it. 6-1 run going into tonight on NFL best bets. That's, of course, 4% and 5% plays combined. Looking forward to cashing this. I've had this play up for about 3 or 4 days now. Monday Night Football team total best bets. So code SAVE10, guys. Get you involved. Take $10 off the pass. So, Andy, as you mentioned, for yourself, you said looking forward to another winning week. Remind people what you have going these days. Oh, we want to hear you, Andy.
Sorry. I got 2 props up for tonight. We're 14-11 so far this season on props. So we get 2 tonight, and we are really, really happy. So pretty decent day yesterday, 6-5. Can't really complain about that. Pretty much a wash. But 2 props that we absolutely love. I stayed away from the Monday night game last week because any play that I put up, I'm betting with my own money. So if I have plays that I like, I'm betting it and I'm putting them up. If we don't have plays like, we're not going to put them up. So we stayed away from Monday Night Football. Tonight we got 2 best props. So go ahead and grab those. I believe we got 1 in each game. So root on 1 in the first game, root on the second. In the next one, let's make it a 2-0 night. 1 pack, 2 props. Get there with the wt.buzz/AL over at WagerTalk.com. Chargers and the Raiders here, Andrew. Let's start with the passing props. Chargers pass heavy in week 1. That was different from their MO last year. They're favored here on the road against Vegas. 47, a little bit of a higher total for a Chargers game than what we saw last year, I feel like. So are there going to be points? Are we going back to Herbert with a big passing attack, or what are you doing with passing props?
Yeah, so I know this doesn't really help my case. I was planning on saying this today and until the Patriots actually had a decent game here, but I think we need to be honest about what the Patriots are. And I, at least for me, I'm not as high on them as some people might have been going into the season. So looking at that Raiders victory they had in week 1, I wasn't really as impressed with it. Now, how's their defense? Do we like their defense? Can we be impressed with Geno Smith putting up, 300 plus yards? Well, maybe we can be impressed with that. And I think in order to go toe to toe with this Chargers team, you probably do have to throw the ball. You probably do have to put some points up on the board. They're going to try and mix in their run game, but I think you look towards Geno Smith. We always call week 2 overreaction week, and it certainly can be from a prop perspective and not just from a point spread perspective or a side perspective, I don't expect him to get 360 yards against the Chargers, but at the 242 number that I'm seeing right now, I'd look towards the over with Geno Smith. As far as Justin Herbert, I didn't hit this one last week with Caleb Williams, and I think he should have if he didn't overthrow like a bunch of people. But you can tell I'm not too upset about that one. I would look towards the longest completion for Justin Herbert because I think he is still absolutely airing it out. And I also look towards the attempts here. As you mentioned, they didn't run the ball nearly that much last week. And I'll tell you what, against KC, it looked like Justin Herbert played smart. I mean, it looked like he made the right decisions, like even using his legs. Like when a play was broken down, he, ran for 6 or 7 yards. The old Justin Herbert would have thrown like a 75-yard like prayer, hoping the player can catch it. I mean, this team to me seemed like a really smart LA Chargers team. And obviously I know it's week 1, but I was pretty impressed there. So, but I do think, Andy, what do you think about Geno Smith? Like, I think that we could see him, throw the ball a ton, especially in this matchup against the Chargers. And I think they can give up some yards through the air. You don't want to overreact to anything, but I think, he's not going to get 300 yards, but hey.
You and I are on the same read on this one because I have his over attempts at 33.5. He had 34 last week. You mentioned, their opponent last week, but Mahomes had 39 attempts against this Chargers team. And I think the Chargers are really good. Again, we talk about overreacting in week 1, but I just think they're really good. I think Harbaugh has this team exactly where he wants them, and I think they're going to be up. I wouldn't be surprised to see the Raiders abandon the running game. I mean, we'll get to Genty in the rushing props, but they were terrible last week, and if that running game isn't working, they're going to have to line back and throw big time. I wouldn't even mind if you can get some alts on Geno Smith over attempts. I think this could be he's got to throw most of the second half. So I'm with you on the over yards. I'm with you on the Geno Smith having to be a big part of the offense. I just don't see a scenario where the Raiders get up and then they're running out the clock in the second half and Geno's not throwing it all over the place. So, 33.5 attempts over the passing yards. I'm with you 100%. I can't figure out what to do with Justin Herbert. I need to wait one more week and see if this is going to be what they do. Where maybe they kind of got away from the running a little bit because they knew Najee was still banged up, and the eye is not 100%. I think he had like just a couple carries last week, and they do have a rookie running back that they don't want to be depending on. So if you're the Chargers and going, hey, we're thin in the backfield, let's have our amazing quarterback throw it all over the place. So I need to see it one more week before I'm willing to invest money in Justin Herbert overs. So, all right, let's talk our guy. Let's go to the receivers. And Andrew, let's talk Jacoby Myers, criminally undervalued and underrated. I said if this is less than 70, I want to take it, and they give us 60.5. I'm in. I mean, I'm in on Jacoby Myers. I'll let you talk about him. I've already said my piece on my love for Jacoby.
Yeah, I almost dove into him on the last game there. But, I mean, at the end of the day is you're trying to figure out who the number one option is going to be. Who are these guys going to be here? I mean, looking at what he was able to do last week, I mean, 7 catches, 62 yards. But to me, is the 9 targets that I was really impressed with. I mean, that's a lot. And the fact that you want to look at yards, I can respect that as well at this number that we're seeing, Andy, but also the receptions number, 5.5 and shaded juice towards the under. I mean, to me, I expect him to get right back to it. I think he's been a reliable guy. And it always seems like these storylines work out well. Oh, guy wants a trade. Guy's not happy. Goes out and balls out. Like, it's like he's trying out for other teams right now while he's playing for the Raiders. He's not even playing for his own team. But if I like Geno Smith over on his passing yards, this to me is not an overreaction. I think that right now Myers is one of the most reliable guys on the team. You want to look at yards, you can look at the yards. You want to look at receptions. I think it should be 6.5 plus money to the over here, but we're seeing 5.5 shaded to the under. I'm going to take the over 5.5 for him there on that one. And also I wanted to mention, I think Quentin Johnston's going to be a guy as well. I mean, this is a guy that was struggling to catch a ball before, and now he's become a little bit more reliable here. Solid opener for him. I think is going to be a big part of the team. And the Raiders secondary seem to struggle quite a bit. So I feel like he's going to be someone that gets targeted quite a bit once again. I'll look towards him this week.
Yeah, I was also trying to figure out what to do with Keenan Allen. on one hand, you were like, oh man, he's old and they just signed him for veteran leadership. And then all of a sudden he looks amazing and he's wide open and he's just running across the field and he looks healthy. His number's at 51.5. So the books are saying, no, he's back. This is the Keenan Allen of old. Do we just play him until he gets hurt, Andrew? Like if he's healthy, do we say this guy's good enough to be a starter and a guy that we can trust on the overs? Do we get maybe a few weeks out of him until his age starts showing or his injuries? I mean, 51.5 is not a small number, but he looked incredible last week.
Yeah, all jokes aside, I feel like this is one of those things. Bet it now. Why wait until week 6 to be like, yeah, this guy's doing pretty well this year? might as well do it early in the season. So, like looking at what he did in week 1, the key word we can use, which is the cliche here, Andy, is chemistry. I mean, obviously he has talent. Obviously he is who he is. But when you have a quarterback that knows who his guy is, knows who he can go to, I don't really care what year it is. I don't care where we are in the season. I feel like he's going to go to him. He's going to target him. My question is, with him, would you look towards yards or receptions? Something tells me it's more of a yards type of play with him.
Yeah, it's a great question. 10 targets last week. He caught 7 passes. He had 68 yards. So, I mean, you do have you got your 51.5, but if he's going to get 10 targets again, then you're just looking at receptions.
Okay.
So I think if you're playing him, if he hits one, he's going to hit the other. I'm looking up his receptions, number right now. Yeah, 4.5. It's a little juicy to the over, but actually I'm going to change my mind. I'm going to go to the receptions instead of the yards. 5 catches is absolutely doable for him. When you got Ladd McConkey and now Quentin Johnston and Keenan Allen, there's just a lot of weapons, and there's guys that are going to be open, and Keenan Allen just knows how to get open. He's been there, done that. He's seen it all. He knows the system really well, and you mentioned it, Andrew. He's got good chemistry. So, yeah, give me the over on the receptions. It's minus 137 on DraftKings, but I'll take it. Let's move to rushing here. I'll get us started here. We talk about rushing and receiving. I'm going to jump to this category because I want the under on Ashton Genty. I want under 91.5. This guy had 38 yards rushing, 2 receiving last week, and the Chargers were good against the running backs last week. Granted, it was the Chiefs who doesn't really seem to know what they're getting or what they can get out of the running backs. But Andrew, we like Geno Smith. We both think the Chargers are going to be up. I think I would take the minus 3.5 on the points. I think they go go on the road and get a really big win. I just don't trust Ashton Genty until I've seen it, and not just once, but I need to see it a couple times. This is a brand new team, coaching staff, running back, quarterback. Like, it's going to take them a while to gel and figure it out, and I just don't see a 91.5 combined. I do want both categories because I just don't see both. I don't see him doing good in both. If he's going to do good, it's going to be because of like a good play in one category. So I want Ashton Genty under 91.5 rushing and receiving. What do you think about rushing props?
Now that I hear you say that, I think I like that more than me just liking the rushing yards under for Ashton Genty. That's kind of where I was looking, but I like that explanation from you there. I think it's just nice to get a little bit of a higher number. But like I said, they're going to have to throw the ball against this Chargers team. The Chargers are going to put up some points. I feel like they're going to have to eventually abandon the run game a little bit. And when you start getting frustrated with the run game and you have a young running back like that, you're going to have to start with those short passes. So I'd look towards that. A lot of the data tells me that Geno Smith isn't much of a runner. That he's not going to be the runner. But if we're going to take the under on the running back, I think my kind of contrarian play here is going to be the over 7.5 yards for him. He had 10 yards last week, whatever that means to you against the Patriots. But I think he's going to have to be passing a lot, standing in the pocket, trying to escape pressure. And with that, I think if we give him a couple attempts, he could get over that number. So I'll look towards that. But I do like the Genty under. And I'll tell you what, I mean, when you look around and you look at Justin Herbert, I feel like he's constantly underrated as far as his legs. I mean, the guys that
I agree.
I know I made jokes about Baker Mayfield, but with Justin Herbert, he does it like only when it's needed. Like, he's not going to like absolutely blow your mind with a huge run, but we saw at the end of last week when he sealed the game against the Chiefs, it was like, I don't know, like a 9 or 10 yard run to kind of like captivate the game. I feel like that's all this guy needs is 1 or 2 of those to get over the number 17.5. So probably look towards that. The Geno Smith one, that's that's kind of just me trying to be a little contrarian, but it's more so taking the under on Genty. So, maybe the quarterback will do some running as well.
Well, what you love about that low number on Geno Smith is it's just one broken play. I mean, we saw Dak Prescott in overtime when, it breaks down, he runs up the middle, and all of a sudden all the defenders' backs are to him and he runs for 20 yards. Something it happens all the time. So Geno just needs one of those plays on that low number. That's what you love about those low numbers. Anytime touchdowns here in this one. I mean, Justin Herbert threw 3 touchdowns last week, and you get Ladd McConkey at plus 155. You get Keenan Allen at plus 235. Quentin Johnston at plus 225. I mean, Keenan Allen's the same price as Najee Harris, who barely played last week. Seems weird. If I'm looking at touchdowns, I'm looking at these wide receivers. They seem mispriced in both of these games. If we expect passing from Tampa and from the Chargers, like that's where the touchdowns are going to go. Do you like any other props in this game?
The Chargers, I mean, Ladd McConkey for me, I just feel like it's a good number. He gets targeted so much, and if you're a fantasy football owner of Ladd, you're pretty excited about how much he's getting targeted in the red zone. So I'd look towards him. Plus 155, I think, is a good target. I love the shout out to Najee Harris. Like, imagine he goes in at plus 235, gets a TD, but gets like 15 rushing yards on the day. He just punches
he
one
could
in.
Have 5. 2 carries, 5 yards, and a touchdown.
Yeah.
The Jerome Bettis special.
It could happen. It could happen.
Yeah. All right. We're going to build a same game parlay in this one. So leave a comment below. You guys know we love seeing what props you're doing. So Andrew and I are going to build a really good same game parlay. Hopefully we can get this thing to 10-1.
We'll start with the Raiders one.
Yeah, let's do the Raiders and Chargers game. So, and while we're doing this, guys, please hit the like button. Really helps the YouTube algorithm out. Lets us know we're doing a good job for you. We read all the comments that you post down there. We read all your props, and so keep it up. You guys did fantastic last week. Great comments and some really good bets in there. So, all right, Andrew, I will get us started here. I mean, we got to go to Jacoby Myers, so I want to get us started with a real juicy one. Give me 100 yards for Jacoby Myers at plus 357. I could see a big second half from him. He just missed 100 yards last week, but the targets, he caught damn near all of his targets. So I'll take Jacoby Myers to get us started at 100 yards at plus 357. What's your piece?
Let's go Geno, over 250 plus yards here. I'm going to say plus 110 average price on that one. They're going to have to throw the ball quite a bit. We both like Ash and Genty under on the rushing yards. I feel like the Chargers are going to put up some points. They're going to make this Raiders team have to be exciting. And we're going to find out whether it was, hey, we played well against a Patriots team that didn't have much offense last week, so they had the ball a lot, or we played well because we have a pretty decent offense. So we're going to see. It's also a home game for them. They're going to want to put on a show and not play, boring football, you'd think, even though for the most part, a win is a win. It's like over 250 for Geno.
I'm with you. I'm going to go to Justin Herbert's passing. I'm going to take him over 270 yards. This is a guy that only completed 25 passes and yet had 318 yards. Guys were running wide open. We had long catches of 33 from Quentin Johnston, 23 from Ladd McConkey, 33 from Tyler Conklin. So they got some big chunks here, and I'm not sold on this Raiders defense. So, all right. So far we have Jacoby Myers, 100 plus receiving, Geno Smith, 250 passing, Herbert, 270 passing. We're already at 10-1. What's our final piece here?
All right, this one's kind of interesting, and I know it kind of goes against what we've been saying about having points in this game, but I feel like both teams are going to have good drives. Both teams are going to have opportunities to get the ball, and I like throwing some different things at you, Andy. So both teams to have a field goal in this game longer than 33 yards. I think we're going to see points in this game. Both teams, instead of taking over 3.5 field goals, both teams to have a field goal longer than 33 yards here. This is the one. I feel like we're going to see a kind of more conservative start from both coaches, not going for it on fourth too much. We'll see that maybe in the second half, but we're going to see field goals at least early on.
I don't know if this is even an option for me to put in.
You can add in, I'm pretty sure.
Special teams props.
Go to kicking props.
I'm at special teams. See, in the same game parlay, they don't have kicking ones. Can we do? Can we do?
All right, give me Ladd McConkey touchdown, anytime touchdown.
Oh, there
Throw
we
that
go.
one in
There we
there.
go.
Throw
There
that
we
one in
go.
there.
I like
I
this.
wanted to throw in a kicking prop there.
All right, anytime touchdown, we're going Lad McConkey. That's 23-1. We could do some damage with that.
And honestly, that one
23-1.
doesn't really seem too crazy. Like, it doesn't really seem like too crazy at all.
No, it's pretty good. So Myers 100 plus, Gino over 250, Herbert over 270, Lad McConkey anytime touchdown, 23-1. Great job, graphics department. They did that impromptu, live on the fly.
Come on.
All right, guys, before we get out of here, most important thing I think we do on the show is do our look aheads. So we go through just the games for next week and see what props we're looking at here. So we'll start with Thursday, Dolphins, Bills. Andrew, I'm in on the Dolphins props. I think their passing game kind of got back on track a little bit. I think this could be a shootout. I don't care how the Bills looked on defense yesterday. The Jets laid an egg. I don't believe this Bills defense is going to be healthy. So I'd look at Tua and Tyreek Hill. What are you looking at in this one?
You know, one thing I always give you credit for, Andy, I learned from you is that when you lose on a prop, don't be scared to go back to it the next week. Week 1, I lost on Tyreek Hill receiving yards. Week 2, I went back to it. Unfortunately, I also had the Dolphins. I'll mention for the third time, so that didn't make me happy. But I'll tell you what, A-chain receptions or receiving yards, like no matter what position they are in the game, I feel like, you know, eventually it's kind of like, okay, we can't just run the ball up the gut for 2 yards. They want to create some offense here. And if it's not going to be Waddle or Tyreek downhill, it seems like A-chain's starting to be more of a receiving back as well. So, well, he has been in the past, but he had some great breakout plays. And there was that one at the end of the game yesterday. I don't know if you saw it, where they stepped out of bounds and everybody was like, no, it's a touchdown. It's a touchdown. They show the replay. Literally his foot was like 5 feet out of bounds, but they're definitely checking the ball down quite a bit. So I would look towards kind of those short yardage guys, receptions as well.
James Cook, anytime touchdown, rinse and repeat. Your Packers and Browns, Joe Flacco over his pass attempts. Just that's a rinse and repeat. What do you like about that game?
Yeah. Number one, that one just has to be a play every time. I'm almost like upset seeing that hit just because I didn't bet it this week. But anybody who else got on it, I can be happy for them a little bit with that one. Tucker Kraft, big week for him. 8 or 6 receptions, a ton of targets here. But what I'm going to look for him, if it's available, and any tight ends really, and Musgrave as well, is the longest reception. A lot of teams use their tight ends as kind of like that safety valve. The Packers use their tight ends like in the opposite method. They use their tight ends as like the big play guys. So he had one long one, I think, for 40 yards on Thursday night. So I'll look towards that.
Colts and the Titans, I guess I got to be a believer in Daniel Jones, the passer. This guy has 588 yards so far.
Good luck.
He's going up against the Titans. The Titans are basically a props wasteland. They're really not getting much done. So the only way I can look at this is Daniel Jones and his passing props over. Anything on this game?
I have not bet anything in those two teams all seasons long so far. So, no, I have nothing in that game.
Bengals and Vikings, I'm not scared to go back to the receivers. Jake Browning will throw the ball a ton. Sometimes it'll go to his team. Sometimes it'll go to the other team, but he will throw the ball a ton. I'm not going to be scared about T. Higgins and Jamar Chase props. That game could be 38-35. Vikings, I don't know what to do with the Vikings. I throw away last night's game. J.J. McCarthy had a baby. He and his wife had a baby on Thursday. That's crazy. That he's playing on Sunday. So I don't pay attention to the Vikings last night. You like anything in that game?
So you and I last week talked about Adam Thielen together. Talked about whether it was the receptions or yards to go under. And it's pretty cool because I actually had 2 friends that I was planning on watching the game with that night. And they were searching up for props. They found our show. And my friends don't always watch my content. And they found our show. And they were like, without telling me, they're like, oh, I watched your show. I wanted to know before you said anything to me in person, like what you thought. So one of my buddies was like the biggest Thielen believer last week. And he had 0. I'm pretty sure he had a donut, right? And then yesterday, came back to life a little bit here. And so I think that when you look at JJ, a little bit, not a lot. But I think you look at JJ McCaffrey, I think they're going to have to see him kind of establish some players like that to be able to have success. So I can't believe I'm saying this, but I might be interested in looking at Adam Thielen props next week because it can't just be. And even remember when I don't know if you probably saw the clip, like when when they had Justin Jefferson mic'd up. He's like, we got to get you some completions, bro. We got to get you kind of into the game a little bit. I think Thielen is that guy for him. Like, just like, hey, you're not going to do much special, but like, let's get him involved and like move the chains a little bit. That's what Thielen's going to be used for. So maybe look towards that. Browning, I feel like it's like the Andrew typical play for looking at attempts with like a backup quarterback. But I just feel like yesterday is going to be a one-off. Like, he made some nice throws yesterday. But you already know they're not going to be giving him the Joe Burrow game plan. It's going to be super simplistic. Yeah. So wouldn't be shocked to look at the attempts.
Steelers, Patriots, I can't get there on anything. Maybe some Jalen Warden receptions props, but I can't figure out either of these teams. That's a pass for me. You?
Patriots are going to be frustrating because they're spreading the ball around pretty well. So I haven't jumped in quite yet on them. Maybe find some guys to look towards unders on. But, yeah, there's just a very, very spread out offense. So nothing in that game.
Rams and Eagles, Dan, producer, you already know what we're going to in this game. Just rinse and repeat, Andrew. Jalen Hurts, anytime touchdown, just every single week. That you could retire off that play. You could retire off that bet. Just you don't have to bet anything else. Just Jalen Hurts, you can hit it 80% of the time. Rams, I have no idea what's going on with the Rams props-wise. I guess it's Puka and nothing. What do you like in that game? Anything?
I like Jalen Hurts to throw 30 passing yards and the team put up 25 points. Where's Dan? Get on here, Dan. No, you know what's funny is I actually think in this game they're going to throw I'll go with Jalen Hurts over. I feel like everybody, including myself, that makes jokes is going to be looking towards his under because how strong the running game is and the defense can be. But I think this is a good matchup for him to get some some yards through the air. So I might look towards Jalen Hurts on his passing yard. He had like 98 yards most of the game, and then he ended up with like 101. Like, shout out to Chris Jones, man.
I have never seen a quarterback take more flack for winning than that man. It's unbelievable. Jets and Buccaneers. We'll see how the Bucs go tonight. Jets, you can't do anything with this game until you know Justin Fields' status. So Raiders, Commanders. I will be on Jaden Daniels. Played maybe the top defense in the league. They get an extra rest. I'll take Jaden Daniels props. Raiders, Commanders for you, Andrew?
Yeah, I don't like betting on my own teams across a lot of sports, and sometimes I should and sometimes I shouldn't. I released a play on the Packers. I think their defense is much better than they were giving credit for. Their offense is obviously good, but they have a good defense. I think the Commanders bounce back. Look, sometimes I put in, we call props, our team totals props. We call them totals. I'd be looking towards potentially a Commanders team total in this one. Bounce back after kind of a subpar offensive performance.
All right, we'll speed it up through these last ones. Falcons, Panthers, Bijan all day.
Yep, I'm with you. And at the end of the day, I think we have to look towards attempts for Penix because right now the consistency downfield is not looking very good.
Texans and Jaguars. I got nothing in this game. Jags are a mess. Absolute mess right now. I can't figure out any props in this one.
Give me T-Law over on interceptions.
Oh, yeah, you're right. I missed that one. Absolutely. Saints and Seahawks. It's Jackson Smith and Jigba. Can they put this line high enough against the Saints?
What about Raheem? Sorry if I pronounced this wrong. Raheem Shaheed, is it? Is that
Raheem Shaheed? Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Taking his over.
Yeah, he's a guy I drafted in one of my fantasy leagues in like one of the last rounds, but I'm like, when am I ever going to start this guy? Well, even though teams are bad teams still have to have guys perform well, and Chris Olave and Shaheed are both, putting up points, so maybe he could be a guy to look at.
Cowboys and Bears, I'll go back to it again. Caleb Williams, he threw an interception. That's his second interception in 13 games. I'll just go Caleb back to no interceptions. And Cowboys, I like what I saw from Pickens. I think the more chemistry he and Dak get, the better he's going to be. So I'd look for Pickens overs. Cowboys, Bears, anything, Andrew?
Nothing for me in that one there. I think we need to see Caleb Williams look towards kind of like simplifying the game, because like you mentioned it, even though it didn't hit this time, there was with the interception stops because he's always overthrowing guys. I feel like they're going to try and establish him into the game. So maybe the Ben Johnson that we know might be a little bit different, realizing he doesn't have the Lions and Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jared Goff. So maybe we see more of a simplified offense, maybe some check downs, maybe some shorter plays for him this week.
Rome Odunze may have cemented himself as the number one on that team with his performance yesterday. He looked really, really good. So, Cardinals and 49ers, James Conner.
That's bad for them, by the way. if he's the number one guy, I don't think that's good for them. So.
That's good. James Conner just keeps scoring touchdowns. We keep writing him off every week. I'll just go back to James Conner to score a touchdown. The guy he just seems to do it every week.
Nothing for me in that one.
Chiefs, Giants, unders on the running backs. What is going on with Pacheco? The Giants, I will say, Malik Neighbors, I think, may be matchup proof. He looked incredible. Made some incredible throws, and I think the Chiefs go into the Giants and lay the smackdown, even though I don't know who they're throwing to. But give me Neighbors to have a big second half.
I'm going to say Pacheco over on rushing yards. I think that he had 10 carries, for 22 yards, 10 carries for 22 yards. And in this matchup they have this week's going to be a hell of a lot easier than the matchup they just faced yesterday. So I'll look towards the rushing prop for the Chiefs.
Lions and Ravens. Good Lord. Everything over, game over, all props over. If I'm going to pick one, I'm going to go Jahmyr Gibbs over his receiving.
I like that one as well. I like him. I think that good luck losing any anytime touchdown bets in that game. If you can't find an anytime touchdown score in that game, you're in the wrong business with that one. Maybe look at something for Montgomery as well. He's been in the mix. I remember years ago when you and I were just started doing this show, I would look towards Kareem Hunt as a secondary option on the Browns with Nick Chubb. If Nick Chubb would go off for 100+ yards to be blowing a team out, you look towards Kareem Hunt. This, to me, could be that secondary option type of game.
Love it. Love it. All right. That's going to do it for us. Andrew, tell them one more time about your 4% best bet that's up tonight.
6-1 run with plays graded 4% or 5%. Best bet, been loaded for a handful of days. This is a team total, one team total that I have kind of identified as a really good matchup here for Monday Night Football. You guys can jump on this, or you can go to my page and buy 1 week pass for a really great deal. Get everything that I'm betting: CFL, MLB, NFL, and much more. But take $10 off with that promo code SAVE10, guys. Don't miss it. Let's have a great night.
2 props are up for me tonight, 1 in each game. We're 14-11 so far this NFL season, so looking to make it 2-0 tonight. 1 pack, 2 props. Let's keep the profits rolling in. Thanks so much. Don't forget to leave a comment with your best prop on the Monday Night Football games tonight. Hit the like button. Good luck on your plays, and we'll see everyone next week on Props and Parlays.
Report. Kelly Stewart here with Teddy Cups. We got 2 games tonight on Monday Night Football. We're going to talk a little week 2, what we saw, what we learned, and then we're going to get in right into week 3. If you guys are new here, this is the opening line report. That means we're taking those opening numbers from Las Vegas, and we're going to talk about what you need to know. And of course, some of those emergency betting alerts. Hold on. Got my handy little siren right here. Welcome in, Teddy Covers. Would you prefer to hit those 2 Monday night games first, or do we want to reflect on week 2?
Sure, let's talk about the 2 games tonight. I know that there are people that are always interested. And of course, one of the 2, Tampa, Houston, I got a free play up on my homepage. So just visit wt.buzz/TC, and I'll give you about 6 minutes on that game. My thoughts. I did make a case for the Texans. It's sitting at 2.5. I'm not getting the sense this is going to 3. Every time if it hits 3, there'll be Bucks money right away. So I think 2.5 is the number here, and 42.5 total really hasn't budged a whole lot. I'm not sensing a lot of movement there. I'm in play for the clients on Chargers Raiders late night action tonight, and that's one where the lines bounced a little bit. There were 3s out there. I'm only seeing 3.5s right now. Total 46.5. The total really hasn't moved there a whole lot. This line could move. I'm assuming Brock Bowers is going to play. The reports are Brock Bowers going to play. And we could see some Raiders support once Bowers is announced as being in. That could take out some of the 3.5s. That is possible. It's more likely to move to 3 than it is to move up to 4 from the current 3.5. So if you like the Raiders, I wouldn't argue with locking in at 3.5 right now. But I'm not 100% sure. I'm not convinced that this line's going to close 3 if Bowers plays. May still close 3.5. It may just be juice, extra juice on the Raiders side in that regard. So that's just a quick take on Monday Night Football. Again, if you want a bigger breakdown for Tampa, Houston, check out the video at WagerTalk.com on the free picks page.
There you go. The WagerTalk free picks page. And a lot of people here are here because we give out a ton of free picks here on the WagerTalk YouTube channel, X, Rumble. Go ahead, Teddy.
Well, I got to say, I mean, it's very important to note, this is not a pick show. All right, we do emergency betting alerts where the line are moving. Those aren't my picks for the week. That's where the line is moving right now. And this is all about information. So if you want a pick show, there's 50 other great pick shows on WagerTalk TV. This is an information show, so just be aware. I know that in the comments every once in a while, it's like, where's the picks? Well, that's not what we're doing on Monday morning. We're giving you info on Monday morning.
All right, let's talk about some bad beats from last week. And coincidentally, I had a few of these on my list. We'll start off with Miami there versus the Patriots. I got real excited because not only was Miami going to land on 1, and that's what I had in the Westgate Super Contest, the game was going to land 1, and that gave me some fuel to give John Murray some grief. That's not how it played out, though. Looked like A-Chain stepped out of bounds. Your synopsis on the Miami Dolphins, Mike McDaniel's press conference was probably the worst one I've ever seen.
Sure, we'll talk about the Dolphins later. When we break down the Thursday night game. Actually, in just a few minutes, we're going to talk about that. But yeah, Miami scored the game-winning touchdown. Everyone's going nuts, and then oops, A-Chain had a little toe on the sideline, and that changed the whole complexion of how the final minute played out. Then obviously we saw Tua missing receivers, and we saw Miami losing. So again, was Miami a right side? They were not. All right. Were they live to win the game? Did it look like they won the game? Yeah, but that wasn't the only one. I mean, what about Jacksonville, Cincinnati? Cincy, with the backup quarterback, 4th down, incomplete pass. All right. I mean, done. Game over. Oops. The ref said, that's a pass interference on Travis Hunter, which, again, if you call, they can call a penalty on every play if they so chose. It certainly wasn't egregious. Hunter got the call. Cincy got the win because Hunter got the call. And if you had the Jags, that was pretty tough to swallow. Most misleading score of the day, Kelly, that was the Browns Ravens. All right. What Cleveland did to Baltimore defensively in that game. Teams don't do that to Baltimore. All right. Derrick Henry completely shut down. That being said, the Ravens offense didn't work. The Browns had more first downs, more yards, more everything, and they lost by 31 points. Yeah, so that was a little bit of a misleading final. How about the Giants? And I know you were sweating this one, Kelly. The Giants and the Cowboys. The Giants won that game straight up twice, but their defense managed to lose it 3 times. How did you feel sweating that out for Survivor?
Oh man, Teddy. Immediately, I'm like, of course I'm getting this Russell Wilson, not the Russell Wilson that played in Denver. And then at the end, I did get Denver Russell Wilson with the interception. And I was like, okay, he's going to miss this chip shot, according to the announcers. Nope, right down the middle. Aubrey, what a great story for him. Not only did he hit a 64-yarder to send it to overtime, he kicked the game-winning kick against a divisional rival, and somehow I am still alive in the Westgate $5,000 survivor. I was at least smart enough not to go double Dallas.
Sure. Well, the Arizona people had to sweat just as much. Maybe not as much as Dallas. The Dallas was more of a sweat than Arizona because Arizona led 27-3, and then they fell asleep, and then they allowed a 4th and 16 conversion on the drive to cover, and then the onside kick recovery, and then multiple penalties against them. A complete blowout turning into an absolute sweat. Cardinals got the win. Panthers got the money.
I
Arizona.
I definitely watched the end of that one because I had Panthers +7. John Murray gave it out on last call yesterday. Woo! But one of the games that got to go my way that I didn't deserve, Teddy, Denver, Indianapolis.
Well, I had one play for the clients yesterday. It was the Broncos. It was a 5% big ticket. It was all I had. I'm like, this is the best play on the board. And it wasn't. I mean, I wasn't right. Indy moved the ball up and down the field against Denver. That said, you don't often see the score flash final. You don't often hear Kevin Harlan go, and the Broncos win. You don't often see him tweet out. And then, oh, by the way, there's a flag for something literally they do on every – if you watch the replay of that field goal compared to every other field goal in the NFL yesterday, they're exactly the same. But that one got a penalty. It is what it is. Again, Denver wasn't right, but that was a nice kick in the balls. I didn't enjoy that very much. And, of course, we can't leave if we're talking about tough beats yesterday, we can't leave KC out of the equation. The pass hit Kelsey right in the hands. And Kelsey's like, oh, I don't want this one. Just like he's like last week, I don't want Xavier Worthy on my team. This week he's like, yeah, I don't want this touchdown. And, of course, Mahomes took Mahomes is such a leader. He took all the blame for it. He said, oh, I should have hit him in the numbers. He shouldn't have had to reach out for it. Shut up. Travis Kelce cost you the game. 7 points one way turns into 7 points the other way. Instead of a 17-13 Chiefs lead, it's a 20-10 Eagles lead that Kansas City was not able to overcome. So, yeah, a bunch of tough beats just on sides yesterday. I didn't even talk about totals. Those are just the sides. And there's there was 13 games yesterday, and 7 of them were brutal. If you had the wrong side of them. So there's the NFL for you. Sometimes it's tough.
Yeah, week 1, tons of overs there. We saw early on, 12 tons of unders, 12-4 to the under. This week, morning game started out 8-1 to the over, ended up 10-4 to the over. We'll see how those end up tonight, but kind of a wild shift in the totals over a week and a half. So time span, Teddy, let's just go ahead and get into week 3. Go ahead.
Oh, just real quick, I want to talk about these totals because favorites go 8-6 against the spread yesterday. Totals go 10-4 to the over. We had a bunch of unders week 1. The over trend is worth paying attention to. The new kickoff rules, we're seeing longer returns. That's legitimate. And touchbacks are coming out to the 35. So teams are starting with better average field position this year than they have in previous years. In addition, the world of modern NFL kickers, the 50-yard field goal is a chip shot now. They're kicking 55. They're kicking 60. Well, not the kicker for Indy, but they're kicking 55 and 60-yard field goal. Aubrey's hitting 64. So 1 first down after the kickoff, and you're in field goal range, which means fewer punts, which means more 4th down tries, which are good for overs. Anytime you're near midfield, you're just at a field goal range. They go for it on 4th down from their own 40, from their midfield, from the opposing team's 40. That's good for overs. I would not be surprised to see at least a modest over trend continuing moving forward. I think week 2 was more real in that regard than week 1.
All right, we have an AFC East matchup here on Thursday night. We're going to get into, we mentioned Miami just a few minutes ago and that press conference with Mike McDaniel. Miami at Buffalo Thursday night, Teddy.
Sure. So for each of these games, you're going to get 4 lines. I'm going to give you the look-ahead line. These are the bettable lines from the Westgate Superbook last week. A handful of games where there was market difference between the Westgate and other books. I put a consensus line. But generally, I'm talking about the Westgate look-ahead line. So bettable line for this game last week. I'm going to talk about my power rating number for these two teams. It doesn't factor in situation, just team A, team B, home field. We're going to talk about the openers last night. And then and again, my openers, I take a consensus line on the opener, usually right around the time Sunday Night Football kicks off, sometimes a little bit later in the first half. But when you have a legitimate market. And then we're going to talk about where the lines have moved since those openers last night. Oftentimes what people say, oh, the line opened at, I disagree with that assessment. I believe very much in my numbers when it comes to openers. So the look ahead line for this game, Buffalo -10, 48.5. And I talked about it last week. I'm like, if Miami loses, the markets are going to crash on Miami. What do we have? Well, my power rating number, 12.5. The market's open 12.5/13. And that's exactly where we're sitting at this morning, 12.5/13. Total look ahead, 48.5, 49 last night. We're seeing 49.5s out there right now. So all the early money, obviously favoring Buffalo with the markets crashing on Miami, and a little bit of early money on the over as well. I'll give the Dolphins credit for taking punches and punching back the whole game. But, after that 18 stepped on the sideline, there was a delay of game penalty. Tua missed a wide open Tyreek Hill, a bad throw, sacked on third down, sacked on fourth down. The quotes after the game, you talk about that press conference. The defense forced only 4 incomplete passes, by the way. Tagovailoa, quote, that was really frustrating. It was frustrating with the communication with the guys inside the huddle, and then what the personnel is, then the play for those guys. Do we have too many guys in? Why do we have another guy running in? Just the whole operation was not up to standard, was not up to par. I got to do a better job with our guys in a sense. That, my friends, is throwing your coaching staff under the bus. He's saying it's him, but all that stuff is on the coaching staff with players shuttling in and shuttling out. Of course, talking about the delay of game penalty. Mike McDaniel, quote, I think if I worry about my job security, I won't be doing my job. And I think that is inherently against all the things I believe in. I've never felt entitled to this position. It's very important to me to spend all of my waking hours worrying about exactly how to do my job. I won't spend one moment thinking about all the things that whatever people you want me to think about this team and the Buffalo Bills here after I get done with this podium. So McDaniel's going to lose this game, and who knows when he'll be fired. But yesterday's loss, devastating for Miami, especially considering how many times they punched back. As for Buffalo, they held the Jets to 0 of 11 on third downs. Quite the defensive improvement compared to giving up 40 against Baltimore last Sunday. 3.3 yards per play allowed. Total yards, 403 to 154. And that was with Ed Oliver out. Taron Johnson was out. Matt Milano didn't play in the second half. So it's definitely worth checking on that Bills injury situation, especially in this point spread range.
All right, Teddy, let's move right along. We're going to get into those Sunday games. Indianapolis at Tennessee. We've seen this one on the move. Kind of talk to me about this Titans team. We saw them take it. Let's put it this. The defense was very competitive in Denver. Yesterday, not so much. The Rams seemed to be able to move the ball pretty easily up and down the field versus them. Your thoughts on Tennessee going forward? Your thoughts on this game this week?
Look headline, Colts -2 and 42.5. There were some 2.5s out there at other books. The Westgate opened 2, but 2.5 was probably the prevailing number. My powering number comes 5.5 for Indy. The Colts showed me something yesterday. I'll give them credit for that. Last night opened 3 -20/3.5. And what are we seeing this morning? 3 -20/3.5. Total 43.5. That's up from the 42.5 on the look ahead line. Indy 2-0 for the first time since 2009. 2 games, 0 punts. That's the first time in the Super Bowl era a team has done that the first 2 games of the season. They did get stopped twice on 4th down yesterday, but every other drive produced points. The Commanders last year had 0 punts in week 2 and 3, and they turned out to be the surprise team of the league. Worth noting with Indy not punting yet this season. Of course, I consider Denver's defense to be elite. And what we saw yesterday, 165 yards on the ground, 6.6 yards per carry from Jonathan Taylor. Yes, he had 1 long burst, but he moved the football effectively on the ground throughout the afternoon. Danny Dimes, 9.3 yards per pass attempt, only sacked once. Now, Shane Steichen did everything he could to lose the game. All I was watching when when Indy was moving the ball, matriculating the ball down the field, just running the football and burning clock and trying to, I mean, when they get to the, not even to the 40-yard line. I was thinking of you, Kelly. Kicking is for losers, and kicking was for losers until the penalty gave them another chance. Steichen, quote, "We were in field goal range there. I felt good about it. Obviously, we got the penalty that helped us out, and we found a way to win." Yeah, the refs gave you a win. Oh, we did that. No, you didn't. You lost, but the refs gave you another chance. As for Tennessee, Cam Ward had 38 dropbacks for 143 net yards. He was sacked 5 times. There's no downfield passing game right now. Lost a fumble, turned a close game into a double-digit defeat. Now, there were some positives. Tony Pollard grounded out yards all day, 20 of 92, long of 10, which tells us, steady gains from Pollard. It's not nearly as one-dimensional as it was in Denver last week. But again, the offense, 3.9 yards per play. The defense gives up 7.4. That's blowout. And penalties continue to be an issue for Tennessee. 10 flags, 62 yards. They had 13 flags for 131 yards in the opener. I like quotes from opposing coaches. Sean McVay, quote, "I thought we had a really great command in the second half. That's really a tough football team." So throwing a little love towards Tennessee. That being said, Titans are now 0-8 in the last 8 going back to last year. They didn't have right tackle J.C. Latham. They didn't have nose tackle Devondre Sweat. Kevin Zietler got hurt, the right guard, in that game. L'Jarius Sneed went in the medical tent. Brian Callahan, who's now 3-16 as the Titans head coach, quote, "Frustrating to start a season 0-2. Certainly, I've still got a lot of belief in our football team that we can win games in this league in this season. But right now, we haven't put a game together We haven't put together a game worth winning against 2 really good football teams to start." Doesn't get a lot easier here. And again, my powering number says 5.5. The market's 3/3.5 for this ballgame. So normally I'd say, look, there's got to be, we're going to see Indy money. Let's emergency betting alert this. But we're not doing that here. Why? It's a divisional game with an 0-2 home dog against a fat and happy 2-0 favorite. And those are situations where the wise guys ain't going to stand for 3.5. They like home dogs in this spot. And I would not be surprised if this line closed 3, even though my powering number says it's 5.5. Now, you can find it both ways right now. I'm not sure if it's going to settle 3.5. It may settle right in between and be a 3.25 line all week. But it's not a scenario where I'm expecting runaway Colts money, and you got to get down on Indy right now. Wouldn't argue if you like Indy, grab the 3 now. But it's not a must-bet scenario, and there's not enough 3s out there for me to go, yeah, you can definitely bet this.
All right, Atlanta, off that Monday Night Football. Well, I'll call it a snooze fest. I went to bed at halftime because I was tired in Minneapolis. Now they're on the road at Carolina. Talk about teams maybe, Teddy, that are off those back-to-back road games now here in the division. You mentioned Carolina looked awful for about 3 quarters. And then against that tired defense for the Cardinals, they looked all right. They didn't get the game-winning drive, but they looked pretty solid, at least in that fourth quarter.
Sure, when you're down 27-3 and you make a little rally, I suppose that's something you can use as a positive sign, and that's certainly what Carolina did after the game. Look headline here, Atlanta 2.5. There were 3s out there, total 44.5. My powering number for the game, Atlanta -4.5. The markets opened last night before the Falcons won, 3.5, 43.5 this morning. What are we seeing? 3.5 and 43.5. Again, there are some 44s out there. Atlanta, impressive on the ground against Minnesota. Again, you're not expecting to see many teams run, with Bijan Robinson and Tyler Algier, 39 carries, 218 yards, 5.6 yards per rush attempt. Against Minnesota's defense, that's something. And second straight game, Atlanta's defense has been pretty good, 4.2 yards per play allowed. They went only 1 for 5 in the red zone, and that's a concern, especially because the 1 came when Minnesota let them score, needing the ball back to have any chance. But, new kicker, hit all 5 field goal attempts. They had a good performance. Again, this is a defense that really didn't step up last year. They drafted 4 higher round rookies, and guess what? The The first rounders had two of them each had at least half a sack. The third rounder had an interception. The fourth rounder had an interception and nearly had another. Positive sign for Atlanta on the defensive side of the football. For Carolina, look, 58 dropbacks from Bryce Young, only 19 rush attempts. That's what happens when you're down 27-3. But then they had touchdown drives, 76, 88, 76 yards, and then had a chance to win it after a rare onside kick recovery and multiple defensive penalties. Gifted a first down after a turnover instead. It should have been a turnover. Instead, it was a first down. Thanks, refs. Didn't matter. Game on the line. Bryce Young could not move the football. They had a 26-16 first down edge. They had a yardage edge too. But this is a box score that kind of lies. Again, a team leads 27-3, and the box score numbers get warped because one team's trying to kill clock, the other team's trying to gain yards. Yards per play, Arizona 6.1, Carolina 4.6. In my mind, that's much more indicative of how the game actually played out with the Panthers outgained by 1.5 yards per play. I like to talk about the quotes from opposing teams, and it's worth noting, Calais Campbell from Arizona. For us to have the lead the way we did, you got to give them a lot of respect for fighting back. They were scrappy. So, yeah, a scrappy team, you like them catching a bunch of points. You don't necessarily like them quite as much, catching 3/3.5.
All right. The Las Vegas Raiders play tonight versus the Chargers, so nothing worth noting yet there. Commanders coming off that Thursday night loss to the Packers. We'll get to the Packers here up next, but let's talk about that Commanders loss. Dan Quinn's team looked really good there week one, looked pretty bad there Thursday night in Green Bay.
Sure, definitely bad. So there is something worth noting, all right, when we talk about these Monday night games and where I've got nothing for the Raiders. For example, we got no notes yet. We don't know what the Raiders are going to do tonight. If you like the Raiders tonight, if you think they're going to play well on national TV tonight, you can make two bets instead of one. You bet the Raiders tonight, and you bet the Raiders next week. You're likely to be getting the best of the number. If they think the Raiders are going to look crappy tonight and the Chargers are going to kill them, you can make two bets. You bet LA tonight, and then you bet Washington now, because that line more likely to go up or down if the Raiders look as bad as you think they're going to look, or as good as you think they're going to look. So there is opportunity on Monday, even with these teams that haven't played yet this week. When you have a strong opinion, you can bet next week's games. And oftentimes you'll get the best of the number in that regard. Look ahead line here, Washington 5.5/6.5/6. So there were numbers kind of all over the place for the Commanders in that range. Total 47.5. My powering number going into Monday Night Football is the Commanders -5.5. And the market's 5.5/6 last night. That's where they're still sitting this morning. Total sitting 47/47.5. That really hasn't moved very much either. And I mean, the Commanders are the oldest team in the NFL by a pretty wide margin. They're not built for short weeks. We certainly learned that on Thursday night. They were not prepared. They were not the better team. Dan Quinn and Cliff Kingsbury didn't really have a clue as to how to attack Green Bay in that game. And the final score in that one really misleading as well. The Commanders got killed, and they were ended up at the end, if they could have moved the ball down the field, they could have covered the point spread, and they had no business covering that number, just like Carolina yesterday. But again, 2.7 yards per carry, long of 8. That's not going to work for the Commanders. When we think about how to handicap Washington, the first handicap is, can the opponent stop the run? And can the opponent stop a mobile QB? And I'm not convinced Vegas is going to be a team that's going to do that. And the defense got gashed all night. Jaden Daniels, they played better than us. Not really much to say. Multiple injuries. We talk about it. Austin Eckler got hurt. Defensive end Dietrich Wise out for the year. Both guys lose out for the year. The tight end John Bates, Noah Brown, both got hurt during the game. Jonathan Jones hurt his hamstring. So a veteran team like Washington, lots of injuries already, and that's certainly a concern for this one.
Not to overreact to a 2-game sample size, Teddy, but has there been a better defense over the past 2 games than the Green Bay Packers? They are taking on the Cleveland Browns. You mentioned just a little bit ago, don't buy into the final score so much. You got to kind of dig into that one a little bit deeper.
So my power number for the Packers right now has them as the best team in the NFL.
Okay. So maybe I'm not a little crazy, just a little, not too much.
And again, when we're talking about the top teams, there's not much there. It's a half point. I think I have my half point better than Buffalo and Baltimore and and Philadelphia, and I mean, there's Kansas City, the teams at the top. We're not talking about a huge difference, but I've got Green Bay ranked number 1 right now, because what we're seeing is at both sides of the football. Jeff Hafley's defense, they didn't dominate second-tier offenses. They dominated 2 strong offenses. Lions last week, Commanders this week. Look headline. Sorry, let me give you the numbers first. Green Bay, look headline -7. There were 6.5s and 7.5s out there. 7 was the number at the Westgate, the prevailing number, total of 43. My powering number with Green Bay is the best team in the league, 10 over Cleveland. The markets opened anywhere between 8, 8.5, 9 last night. Again, 8, 8.5 is kind of a dead number. The books that opened 9, we call that a teaser protection line, as opposed to 8, 8.5, where you can still use a 6-point teaser. Many books just move from 7.5 to 9, or some books do that. Total 42.5 last night, and that's still the number this morning. The line this morning still 8.5, 9, 42.5. And again, I'm not convinced we're going to see Packers money, even though my number says it's 10 and it should be double digits here. Spot wise, yes, Green Bay has extra time to prepare. They're also a little bit fat and happy, 2-0. And this is not a game where they're like, okay, we've got to circle the wagons to beat the Browns. If you saw Baltimore's effort against Cleveland yesterday, it wasn't, the Browns aren't going to get every team's best effort every week, especially after Green Bay had 2 huge games to open the season. But it's 2 weeks in a row we've seen Hafley's defense dominate. Jordan Love, he had that statement run on the touchdown drive when he bowled over the defender to get the first down. The game felt over in the first half after that play, and Love's looking like a star. You have a true bell cow back and Josh Jacobs. As soon as you stack the box, Love's throwing long. As soon as you don't stack the box, you can hand it to Jacobs again and again. I do worry a little bit about this type of quote, Jordan Love. It feels good. We couldn't have started the season off on a better note. I think we just got to keep building on, but it feels great right now. That's a little fat and happy for me. And, of course, they have multiple injuries now on the offensive line. Zach Tom, Aaron Banks both hurt, and Jaden Reed hurt as well. That hurts their wide receiver depth. As for Cleveland, again, don't be fooled by that final score yesterday. Yeah, it was 41 to 17 was the final, of 41 to 10. The Browns defense completely shut down Baltimore. First downs, Cleveland 17, Baltimore 14 first downs. Total yards, Cleveland 323 to 242. Yards per play, Cleveland 4.5, Baltimore 4.6. You're holding Baltimore to 4.6 yards per play. You're shutting down Derrick Henry. You're doing something right. And again, week 1, they held Joe Burrow and the Bengals to 17 points, 141 yards, 7 yards after halftime. They had a blocked punt led to a touchdown. Both turnovers led to short field TDs. Kevin Stefanski, we gave him 21 points via blocked punt, a fumble recovery, interception. It's just hard to win. It's hard to win, period. But it's hard to win when you do that. Well, own it. Myles Garrett. Shit's embarrassing. We got to be better on defense. We got to be better as a team. And I remember Joe Flacco said last week, it feels like an inexperienced roster. And you don't know that I want to go with an inexperienced roster and a young team going against Green Bay. But spot-wise, a clear Cleveland spot, even though my powering number says the value here is with the Packers.
All right, JJ McCarthy off a home loss last night. Not a great performance. Kind of looked like the first 3 quarters versus the Bears, but for at least the first half that I watched. You just mentioned Joe Burrow. Teddy, have you seen anything about the Joe Burrow injury in regards to when he's going to play? Jake Browning, awful performance, yet somehow still snuck out a win there. My Jags plus 3.5 ticket just got completely set on fire. Kind of 2 teams here where I'm not sure what to make of either one of them. Kind of break down your thoughts on both of these teams and, of course, this matchup.
Sure. So look ahead line here, Minnesota -1.5/-2, total 47.5. My powering number, no Burrow, Minnesota -3.5. Last night, there were 3.5s and 4.5s up, 43.5 the total. And what are we seeing today? 42.5 the total. Still 3.5s and 4s out there for Minnesota. The refs gifted Cincy the game. Jake Browning is likely to be there. So we have turf toe for Joe Burrow. I saw last night one report said that he could be out a couple of weeks, but he might need surgery. If he needs surgery, he'll be out a couple of months. Either way, the market's not expecting him to play this week. It's going to be Jake Browning again. And I'll give Browning credit for this. Game on the line. He took him down the field and put him in the end zone. Admittedly, there was a 4th down pass interference call that was pretty dicey that got him there. But Browning get to throw, and then they went 4-3 with him last time. He was the backup. So it's not like
Eddie, I'm going to interrupt real quick. Joe Burrow confirmed to undergo surgery on his left toe, expected to be out for 3 months. That is a tweet from 4 seconds ago. So I just wanted to jump in there and let everybody know. It looks like the comment section beat me to it anyway.
That's breaking news. Thank you guys for giving us that info. And of course, for someone that has a Bengals season wins under bet, I can't, but part of the thought process like that, a big part of my thought process was that Cincy's paper thin. They paid all their stars. They don't have backups. And you make money with, I did that with New Orleans last year, for example. Teams that, all right, they might look good for a couple of weeks, but there's going to be issues. And obviously, if Burrow's going to undergo surgery, it'll be Jake Browning for a while. And that's not necessarily a good thing for the Bengals power rating number moving forward. Browning did throw 3 receptions. Chase Brown only had 2.9 yards per carry. But since he scored on 4 of the 8 drives that Browning led, they did get out-yarded and out yard per played. But Minnesota, again, you talked about it. He had one good quarter against the Bears, and the Bears just gave up a 50 burger to Detroit yesterday, devaluing that fourth quarter for J.J. McCarthy. And the other 7 quarters this season, the Vikings offense has been pretty awful. And J.J. McCarthy's been pretty awful. Against Atlanta last night, McCarthy completed 11 passes and took 6 sacks. That's a bad ratio. 10 first downs, 198 total yards, 4.2 yards per play. Not good. Only 2 possessions last night for Minnesota having more than 4 plays. So the question is, can Cincy's defense do that? 4 turnovers, 8 penalties, not a clean game. And more concerning for Minnesota, that defense gashed on the ground, 5.6 yards per carry, 218 yards from the running backs. And, by the way, they lost Ryan Kelly, their starting center. They're dealing with a third-string left tackle right now. Offensive line injuries for the Vikings as well, which is certainly not going to help J.J. McCarthy's development. I got to think we see some under money for this ball game. And again, look ahead total here, 47.5. It was 43.5 last night. It's 42.5 at a lot of books right now, but there's still 43.5s out there. Let's do it. Let's get that first emergency betting alert out.
Where's Dan with my there?
Like the under. There are 43.5s out there now. They will not be there much longer. All right. We can expect the total to get bet down in this ballgame. We've already seen a bunch. I would not be surprised if we see more. Backup QBs and struggling offenses lead to unders. 43.5s available as we speak at multiple books. Again, if you like the under, I bet that sooner rather than later.
All right, we just crossed 2,300 live concurrent viewers across the WagerTalk TV network. Shout out to all of you guys. Please hit that subscribe button so you never miss another edition of the Opening Line Report. Teddy covers, we are halfway through the slate. So I'm going to give you a chance to give yourself a little self-promotion. What do you got going on over at WagerTalk.com?
Well, I had a crap day yesterday. And frankly, I'm not happy about how this football season started for me in any way, shape, or form. I'm kind of pissed off on a Monday morning. That tends to be a good thing for bettors, for my clients. Not me sucking, but me being a little bit pissed off. I've had, there's urgency. I'll leave it at that. We're in play tonight. Obviously, Monday Night Football, a single best bet. The baseball's been fine. We won 3-0 over the weekend in MLB action. Got an MLB play as well. But the best value is always don't buy plays. Get on board with the package. We have the 30-day all access. We have a 3-month, buy 3 months, get a 4th free. Really good deals if you want to partner up this football season. And again, I'm a little bit frustrated right now. That could be a good thing. I'm expecting the short list. There were games jumping at me last night, and that's certainly a positive sign moving forward. So check out my page, wt.buzz/TC. I'm always going to be transparent. I'll tell you when I'm rolling. I'll tell you when I'm not. Have not been rolling so far this football season. We'll get there. We're putting the work in. The results will follow. So check it out. Again, wt.buzz/TC and get on board.
Dare I say a possible NFC championship preview? At least that's what last year's game was. We got the LA Rams going into Philly. Let's break down this one for our audience, Teddy. I'm sold on Stafford's not 100%. I don't know. He's been rocking and rolling, mainly because he's got a duo of wide receivers in Devontae Adams and Puka Nacua.
Sure. So look at line here. Philly minus 4.5, total 45. If we do this show live Sunday night, I'd have said those 4.5s aren't going to last. Opened 4.5 last night. 4 for the last 4.5. My powering number was 3.5 for the Rams. Obviously, you're talking about playoff revenge. And we're seeing today 3.5s as a prevailing number. Even a prominent 3.5 even money worth noting. So we've already seen Rams money. I would not be shocked if the line closed 3, but from the 4.5 that we saw, it's not like there's a huge groundswell of anti-Philly money. And that's certainly going to be so. At 3, I think we see some buyback. So I wouldn't argue if you want the Rams, take them plus 3.5 right now. I don't think you'll get a better number between now and Sunday. And you talked about the receivers for LA. Devontae Adams, brilliant. I thought he was washed up, and he has not looked washed. Him and Puka right now are as tough to stop as any wide receiver duo in the league. Stafford, 9 yards per pass attempt, only took 1 sack in yesterday's win. They didn't move the ball effectively on the ground in that contest. That is a concern here against Philly's stout defensive front. But again, the offense, 7.4 yards per play. The defense only gave up 3.9. Sean McVay, I was pleased with the way we finished that game. I thought we had really great command in the second half. They are missing a couple of key players. Steve Avella, the left guard. Colby Parkinson, the tight end. Cornerback, Keller Witherspoon broke a clavicle. Those are concerns. Devontae Adams talking about Matthew Stafford. Quote, he threw a pick in the second quarter. Quote, he's not cussing. He's not blaming anyone. You could tell he's dialed in, locked in, not going to let stuff like that rattle him. And that kind of radiates throughout the rest of the team, just that type of poise and confidence. Stafford's quote, the only thing to do is keep playing. I just can't sit there and be pissed off about it all day. Veteran leadership for Stafford. Sean McVay's pretty sharp. These are positive signs moving forward for the Rams. Yes, Stafford looks real good. And early in the season might be the time you want him more than later in the season when he gets more banged up. As for Philly, again, the game turned on one great interception or one Travis Kelce drop, however you want to look at it. No downfield passing game again. 2 weeks in a row for Philadelphia. Jalen Hurts, 15 of 22 for 101 yards. A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith combined 80 receiving yards on 14 targets. The offense just 3.7 yards per play. They did have a huge takeaway. They go 2 for 2 in the red zone. That was difference maker in the game. But this is worth noting. All right. Nick Sirianni, quote, our job, especially early in the season, is to find a way to win. Take pride in winning any way you possibly can. Work to get better throughout the week and repeat. I think when you come off a season like we came off last year, the expectation that we're going to pick up right where you left off, there are steps to this. Sirianni is telling us, tap the brakes on the Philly power rating a little bit right now. This team's going to go through some growing pains like any other squad. They're worried about winning, not winning by 6 touchdowns. And certainly, again, early start game here, a concern for the West Coast team. I didn't check to see if the Rams are staying. That's worth noting to see if LA stayed back east this week. Oftentimes, some of the sharper coaches do that when they go east for a week. I do want to check that information for the Rams. I did not last night, but we already seen Rams money. We could see a little bit more.
Okay. All right. Steelers, Patriots, two teams, both 1-1. I'm not sure really what to make of. You mentioned some of the woes of the Dolphins. Was that just a second week with Mike Vrabel running this Patriots team? Aaron Rodgers, 5 touchdown passes, 2 interceptions. Looked all right. We'll leave it at that. Against the Jets, and this week, not so much. But that was a wonky game there against Seattle. Teddy, that kickoff where he didn't understand either the rules or whatever happened and turned into a touchdown. Then Seattle just ended up being able to roll over this Steelers team.
Look headline here, Pittsburgh -1/43. There were 1.5s out there. There were 2s out there. There were 2.5s out there for the Steelers. Ain't no 2.5s out there with Pittsburgh as chalk now. My power innings, Steelers won. The markets opened 1/1.5 last night. There were a couple of pick'ems out there, and that's exactly what we're seeing today. A couple of pick'ems, a couple of Pittsburgh -1s, a couple of Pittsburgh -1.5. So there is some line variance here. Total 44.5. Again, look ahead was 43. Last night was 44. So we have seen over money. And given what Pittsburgh's done offensively or defensively, that's no surprise. This is another one where, again, right now, let's do it. Let's emergency betting alert this total. If you like the over, play Pittsburgh, New England over right now. There are still 44s out there. I'm expecting to see, again, 44.5 already the prevailing number. I would not be shocked to see it to go higher because we're talking about two teams with very suspect defenses right now. The Steelers have the highest paid defense by a wide margin, by the way, NFL's highest paid defense. They've now allowed 27 or more points 6 times the last 7 games, dating back to last year. They've allowed 30-plus in both games this season to opponents that scored 13 and 10 in the other game where they didn't play Pittsburgh. Give up a 300-yard passer, 100-yard rusher, 100-yard receiver. They gave up Seattle had 18 plays of 10-plus yards yesterday. J.J. Watt, no sacks in the last 6 games. Quote, we need to look in the mirror. We need to turn over every stone possible because we can't continue to let this happen. It's not fun football right now. We talked about the Caleb Johnson brain fart on the kickoff. You know, Mike Tomlin saying that team has practiced that specific kickoff scenario, quote, every day of our lives. DJ Metcalf in revenge against his former team, 3 catches, 20 yards. Aaron Rodgers, telling everyone to relax again. It's week 2. I mean, it's like good for us. Last week, there probably was some people feeling pretty good because everyone outside the building was talking about how great we were on offense. That's a league. You can't ride the highs or lows. Rodgers was not good. The passing game was not good. Drake May only threw 4 incompletes for New England in yesterday's game. Last week, Vrabel talked about better balance. This week, 29 rushes, 26 dropbacks. They had a hell of an answer after Miami's punt return touchdown with a kick return touchdown of their own. But there are kicker issues now for New England. Borregales was the first kicker taken in the draft last year, and he missed 2 PATs, and he missed a 40-yard field goal in the opener. So kicker concerns could be a factor for Patriots and Steelers in this near pick'em price ballgame.
Hand up, did not know that Tyrod Taylor was still in the NFL until Justin Fields left with a concussion the other game. Bucks play tonight in Houston. Teddy, talk about Jets at the Buccaneers.
Yeah, I mean, Justin Fields, 3 for 11 for 27 yards. He was sacked twice for minus 19. So that's a net of 8 passing yards. And he left in the fourth quarter with a concussion. The Jets finished with 3.3 yards per play and allowed 224 rushing yards at 5.2 yards per carry. That's the second week in a row this D has been absolutely gashed, 30-plus points. Aaron Glenn, when it comes to this game, very disappointed, very disappointed, all 3 phases, to be honest with you. Look headline here, Tampa minus 5.5, 44.5. My powering number has the Bucks 8 in this ball game. The market's sitting at 7 and 44 right now. Sorry, 44/44.5 right now. And again, if you like Tampa tonight, you can lay 7 right here. The number could be higher. If you like Houston tonight, you can take 7 here. The number likely to be a notch or 2 lower. You can make 2 bets on Mondays based on your Monday Night Football opinion.
Speaking of Monday Night Football, Houston, like you mentioned, plays tonight, and they are facing the Jaguars. A game that, as you mentioned, did not end up going my way, even though Joe Burrow left there with an injury. Kind of talk about maybe turning away from some of those wonky losses, if you will. Is this a situation where if we like Jacksonville, we should be backing them now or waiting until after Monday Night Football?
So look headline here, Jags. There was 1s, there was 1.5s, there was 2s out there against Houston. Total 43 on the look headline. My powering number has the Texans -1. The markets still have the Jags -1, 43.5. Again, depending on how Houston plays tonight, it's one of the situations where Houston hasn't given us their piece of the equation yet. All right. So, and talk about which way the line is going to move. The line will move based on Houston's performance. If they look bad, the Jags will be chalk, and they'll be bigger chalk than they are right now. If Houston looks good, it's much more likely to be in the pick'em range than it is right now, or even Texans -1. We talked about how the Jags, the refs gifted Cincy on the 4th down pass interference call on Travis Hunter. That literally was the difference in the ballgame. That said, the Jags' last drive before the Bengals touchdown, just like in the Broncos game, the Broncos gave Indy a chance to win it with poor execution on offense. The Jags are first and goal, or whether they're on the fourth, they're fourth and 5 from the 7-yard line. Sorry, they're not, but they're in the red zone. They're up 3. Trevor Lawrence stopped the clock with a bad pass on 3rd down and then hit Brian Thomas right in the chest on 4th down, and Thomas dropped the football, which would have won the game for Jacksonville. So it's certainly, yes, the refs gifted them, but Jags left the door open for them. Only went 3 for 6 in the red zone. In the red zone. They outgained Cincy yards per play and full game. I feel like it's the same quote from Trevor Lawrence for the last 5 years. I think overall we showed we can make plays. Just a consistency piece is lacking at times. Not shooting ourselves in the foot. That's still showing up. It's something we have to correct. Liam Cohen said after the game, and I missed this quote to give it to you properly, but he said I missed getting it in my notes somehow. But Liam Cohen said, if Trevor Lawrence plays that way, we're good enough to win as long as he doesn't throw interceptions. But Lawrence did have another 2 bad picks yesterday. That's been pretty steady problem throughout his career.
All right, Broncos headed to LA. They're off that Indianapolis loss that had been a pretty painful plane ride home for them. And as we've mentioned several times, the Chargers play the Raiders tonight.
Yeah, look ahead line here. They're basically 2.5/3 for the Chargers, total 43.5. My powering number going into Monday Night Football is Chargers 2. And we're seeing right now bettable 2.5/45.5/46. It is legitimate. It's a split line, a total. And I'm not sensing any movement just yet. The best defense in the league just get gashed for 165 yards on 6.6 yards per carry just by Jonathan Taylor. Allowed Danny Dimes to gain 9.3 yards per pass in, but only 1 sack. Last 3 possession, punt in Colts territory, bad Bo Nix interception in field goal range, and a missed 42-yard field goal from Will Lutz. Will Lutz will not get a Christmas card from me this year, but they had the chin. And again, it's not many times does Kevin Harlan say the game is over, the Broncos win, and the scores flash final, and then here's the penalty, and DeAndre Tillman gets flagged, and it's a 45-yard field goal instead of 60, and then it's money. Sean Payton, we did a lot of things late in that game to keep ourselves from winning. It'll be painful to watch that film. There'll be a bitter taste for a little while. We put ourselves in position to control the game late. Then it slipped out of our hands. It's in theory a bounce back spot for Denver. We'll see if it's a bounce back spot for the Chargers as well, based on their Monday night performance.
Teddy, real quick, just because I like to add some extra little betting thoughts in here. Denver looks real nice to put in a teaser for this week. I know there's some disagreements on when we should and when we shouldn't. Total sitting there at 46. Your opinion on maybe using them in a teaser spot?
Yeah, sure. I mean, again, at 2.5, you're always looking to tease the dogs up because you get all the key numbers, 3, 4, 6, and 7. So 2.5 up to 8.5 does make sense for the Broncos. And in theory, the Broncos aren't the type of team that's going to, their defense is supposed to be better than what we just saw. They're not the type of team that's supposed to lose a lot of games by margin.
All right, let's talk about losing games. Spencer Rattler, 0-8 as a starter for the Saints. How can you not want to use Seattle here in your survivor plays? Like just straight Seattle across the board, just fade the Saints into oblivion, Teddy.
Yeah, look at line here. Anywhere from there were 6s, there were 6.5s, there were 7s, there were 7.5s out there. Total 41.5 for Seattle and New Orleans. So the market's in agreement on the total and not an agreement on the side. My powering number, Seattle minus 8.5. The markets last night, 7/7.5/8, total of 42. And we've seen the 42s mostly get taken out, 41.5, the prevailing number. And the markets have settled. Again, when it's 7/7.5/8, I expect the markets to land on 7.5, and that's exactly where they have. Spencer Rattler was okay yesterday. No interception, 3 touchdowns. Chris Olave had a good game. Alvin Kamara had 99 rushing yards versus a solid Niners defense. The Stars showed up. They went 3 for 3 in the red zone. Those are positive signs. In both games, they've had a chance, with the ball, with a chance to take the lead in the final minutes, and Spencer Rattler hasn't been able to get it done. There's still the penalties, the turnovers, the drop passes, the blown defensive coverage, the missed field goal in each game. Kellen Moore, quote, "We have a great group of guys that play their tail off. We have to play cleaner football, do what winning teams do in each and every moment." They're trying to build a culture there in New Orleans. It's not a winning culture just yet. And it kind of is for Seattle. Who, again, you talked about the play where the Steelers just allowed Seattle to recover their own kickoff in the end zone for a touchdown. But it wasn't just that. I mean, Seattle outscored the Steelers 24-3 over the final 2 quarters. Their defense dominated. Kenneth Walker at 100 yards on the ground. Sam Darnold was dishing dimes, 8.9 yards per pass attempt. 2 missed Myers field goals, 2 Darnold picks, and they still won by 2 touchdowns. That's a positive sign for Seattle moving forward.
The Dallas Cowboys, I was shocked to see open as a small underdog at the Chicago Bears. This is kind of a weird one for me. How do the Bears respond after just getting throttled there by Detroit?
So look ahead line here, Bears -1.5/46, and then there were pick'ems out there. My powering number had Dallas -1. The markets opened Chicago -1/pick and 49 last night, and that's holding. Chicago -1, even -1.5 at some books. Total 48.5, 49.5, even a 50 out there at Circa here in Las Vegas. I mean, the Lions, Dan Campbell was trying to make a little bit of a statement yesterday, and he did. That being said, the Bears defense allowed 8.8 yards per play and a 50 burger. They gave up 6 touchdowns and 7 red zone tries, 5.9 yards per rush allowed, 11.9 yards per pass attempt allowed. It's as ugly as it gets. And Ben Johnson said it's not going to be seamless. We're not going to be a finished product in September, was his quote. Ben Johnson after the loss, it's not demoralizing at all. We have to play better. The defense allowed 15 plays of 10 or more yards, 7 plays of 20 or more yards, 5 plays of 30 or more yards. Just gashed all game. And I'll say this. It feels like there are people out there with an axe to grind against Caleb Williams. I read a lot when it comes to the NFL, and there have been more anonymous sources articles about Caleb Williams than I'm used to seeing about most QBs. Lots. I'm sensing that people around the league, people around the organization, former people around the organization don't necessarily like this guy all that much. And, obviously based on what we've seen the first 2 weeks, the Bears still very much a work in progress. As for Dallas, 32 first downs, impressive offensive showing. Then they punted twice in overtime, and the Giants are supposed to win that game. The defense gave up 450 yards through the air. Just like last week against Philly, they couldn't get stopped, burned badly by the pass. Yards per play against the Giants, allowed 7.8, gained only 5.8. They had 12 penalties for 106 yards. And, of course, they're coming off Brian Schottenheimer's first win. Still just 3-7 straight up their last 10 home games. Schottenheimer, quote, Deck, talking about Schottenheimer, I won't forget it. I'm sure every guy in the locker room won't forget this one. Though some wins are sometimes hard to bounce back from. And there's got to be at least some level of desperation in Chicago right now. That said, again, my powering number is Dallas -1. I'm a little bit surprised to see the Bears not only holding at this number, but taking money.
All right, Teddy, question in this game. Did Mac Jones look good, or was he just playing the Saints? San Francisco's at home to the Arizona Cardinals this week.
Look ahead line here, anywhere from 1.5, 2, 2.5, 3. Lots of variance on the look ahead line. Total 44.5. All that with San Francisco favored, by the way. My powering number, the Niners -2.5. That's with Jones in the lineup. The markets open Arizona as the favorite last night. That didn't hold. San Francisco now -1/-1.5 out there this morning. They've already taken money. Total 43.5/44. We've seen a little bit of over money as well. Mac Jones looked fine in Shanahan's offense. He completed passes to 8 different receivers. That's a positive thing. No picks, 3 touchdowns. That's a positive thing. 7.2 yards per pass attempt. That's fine. His quote, I've worked a lot on my mindset this offseason. The line did a great job blocked for me. And when they do that, I know I can sit there and let it fly. It's just one game. It's good to feel a little bit of confidence again. Just have to carry that to next week. Lots of injuries still for San Francisco. Shanahan referenced them after the game. That's awesome however you do it. We did overcome a number of injuries. We're proud of the effort. 5.1 yards per play on offense, 4.6 allowed on D. So some of that is certainly playing New Orleans. And Arizona hasn't figured out how to play with a lead this year. 2 games they've had a lead, and 2 games they've just sort of sat on it a little bit. They couldn't get off the field on 4th and 16 to blow the cover. They couldn't handle the onside kick. Then the defense showed up on the final drive, which is certainly a positive sign. Kyler Murray, I don't know how many penalties that was in a row. Yeah, it was kind of a shit show, to be honest, but I'm glad we got the win. We could be 0-2, but we're 2-0 with this issue, not playing well with the lead. I don't want to make it a thing, but at the same time, We got to finish games. That's the bottom line, because it didn't bite us in the ass today. Didn't bite us in the ass last week. But you keep playing around, you get bit. So we got to be better. FAFO. A couple of injuries on the defense side of the football for Arizona as well, worth paying attention to on the defensive line and at the cornerback. 3 cornerbacks, in fact, for Arizona got hurt yesterday.
All right, Sunday Night Football. Of course, Kansas City is going to be the favorite. They're headed into New York. But talk about the look-ahead line here and what that loss to the Eagles means for Kansas City on Sunday night.
Sure. Look at the line here. There were 6.5 was the prevailing number, 5.5/6 as we got into yesterday's game. So there was a little bit of Giants money during the week. Total 42.5 as the look ahead. My powering number is Kansas City 6.5. The market's open 5.5/6 and 43. And all we've seen is over money. 5.5/6 still, but the total now 44.5, even 45s popping up. Kansas City's defense has now forced 1 turnover in the last 6 games. Travis Kelce first hurt Xavier Worthy the first week, running a bad route. And then in week 2, Mahomes hit him in the hands for a touchdown, and instead Philly won the game. This is Mahomes' first 3-game losing streak since being at Texas Tech in 2016. It's the Chiefs' first 0-2 start since 2014, when Alex Smith led the team to a 9-7 record full season. Mahomes, the leading rusher for Kansas City in week 1. Mahomes, the leading rusher for Kansas City in week 2. That's not what the Chiefs need. And, of course, rookie left tackle is struggling. The new left guard is struggling. There are issues for an offense. And again, they outgained Philly 5.2 yards per play to 3.7 yesterday. Still found a way to lose. You talked about Russell Wilson at the top of the show. He was great all day. 450 yards, 11 yards per pass attempt. 2 beautiful throws to Wan'Dale Robinson and then Malik Neighbors to win the game, but then the defense couldn't get stops either time. And then Wilson's pass in overtime was indefensible. On second down, that's an indefensible pass. And then Wilson gave us a quote on after the game that I couldn't stop laughing at. And I needed a laugh last night, and this one just made me laugh. Russell Wilson, quote, "I love watching boxing. We're in a 17-round fight." Clearly, you don't love watching boxing. There is no 17-round fight. And we battled the first round and second round and got more to do. So I was really proud to be able to answer the way that we did. I've been part of a lot of crazy games. I don't know if I've been a part of one that crazy and that much grit. That said, 14 penalties for 160 yards. Clearly a problem for the G-men. And now they get a national TV appearance to get embarrassed in front of the nation.
All right, Teddy, about 90 seconds because we're up against it with WagerTalk today. Monday Night Football. We got the Lions after a nice bounce back. And you mentioned maybe that Baltimore Ravens, Cleveland Browns score was just a touch fraudulent.
Yeah, so we did 2 emergency betting alerts on the side. Let's emergency betting alert. 2 betting alerts on the total. Let's emergency betting alert on the side. I'm short on time, so I got to go quick. If you like the Lions, bet the +6 right now. All right, they will take money. I would expect they're going to take money. Look ahead line 5.5/6, total 50.5. My powering number, Ravens 3.5. The market's open 6. There are 5.5s popping at some books. Detroit's going to be a choice this week. Again, 8.8 yards per play. And Baltimore coming off what was the most misleading final score of the day, that 41-17 win over Cleveland, where Derrick Henry only gained 23 yards on the ground. They blew a 15-point fourth quarter lead in week 1. I would expect this line to close closer to 3 than the current 6 that we're seeing right now.
All right, you guys want to partner up with Teddy Covers, WT.buzz/TC. Teddy, good luck this week. Check out some of those teaser plays, guys, because that's where I'm going to be looking. As always, thank you for hanging out with us here on the opening line report on the WagerTalk YouTube channel. Give us that thumbs up. Don't forget to hit subscribe. Andy Lang is up next. Teddy, take it away.
Cheers. Thanks, guys. Have a great week.
Welcome to the best sports betting show on the planet, WagerTalk today. I'm your host, Andy Lang. It is Monday. We got a stacked football show. Of course, we're going to talk Monday Night Football. Steve Merrill is going to break down Chargers and Raiders. We got some props to go over. Gianni's going to join us with the Steam Report. We're going to recap the weekend. We're going to look ahead to Week 3 and these opening lines. We're also going to take a look at the Phillies and the Dodgers, and Crackman is going to join us, talk props, and get his thoughts on the weekend. We're also going to do some winners and losers in the props markets. We're going to take a look at where the books did well and where the public did well. But we got to start with our main man, Gianni, and take a look at the Steam Report. But while we're doing that, please hit the like button, guys. You know it really helps the algorithm out. Just a token of your appreciation. All right, Gianni. Interesting day of games. That means you had a good day. So, I know that look. How was your Sunday?
WagerTalk back end, and currently number 1 in NFL regular season and number 1 in college football as well. So, football's been good. Lost last night with Minnesota. I got a little worried there, but we got good Monday night. I haven't put the package up, but ready to confirm some plays there. And, it's just been a really good football season, and it's just so early. And this is the time where we have data, Andy, because here's what I love. I woke up today and I dug into college football because we're really doing a lot of damage with college football. And you can still take such advantage of this early season because a lot of these teams are not going to be top 5, top 10, top 20 teams when the season's over. And a perfect example of that is Miami. Miami right now is a top 5 team. When I look at the college football rankings, they are 4th. But in power ratings, they're barely a top 20 team. Where on the flip side of that same coin, you have Alabama sitting at 1-1, and they're ranked 14th in the nation. And right now, there's only one team that would be favored over Alabama on a neutral field. That's Ohio State, power rating wise. Now, some will argue, well, wait, maybe Oregon would be favored over them. Maybe Georgia would. Maybe the books would do that. But power rating wise, what betting syndicates would look at, because again, betting syndicates aren't trying to balance their risk like the book does. So the book may make Alabama a dog to either of those teams, but rest assured, Alabama is who the sharp bettors would line up on because power rating wise, they're very undervalued. And right now I'm seeing a lot of that in college football where all you have to do is look at the top, 10 teams, and except for Texas, they're all 3-0. That's all they're looking at. Who's sitting at 3-0? And you could take a lot of advantage in college football right now because of that. There's some teams that are ranked up there. Like look at Notre Dame. Notre Dame's 0-2 right now, or 0-3. Notre Dame hasn't won a game yet, and yet there's maybe 4 or 5 teams that would be favored over Notre Dame on a neutral field, and yet. I don't think Notre Dame's ranked 24th in the nation, and yet it'll be hard to find 5 teams that would be favored over Notre Dame on a neutral field. So it's a really good time to take advantage of that recency bias, even in the NFL and college football, where you don't have a long enough season like baseball for teams to progress and regress towards the mean. It's still enough time for those phony teams like a Miami to come back down to life. Like I love seeing that happen. And I think when the dust settles, I think I'll be proven right with some of these teams that I think are undervalued and overvalued in college football right now.
Let's take a look at NFL. What was your takeaways from the weekend? I'm assuming that it looks like the teasers just keep hitting. Had some scaries with the money lines, things like that. So what was your takeaway from Sunday's games?
Yeah, well, books did a really good job of protecting against teasers because bettors are really zeroing in on them. In fact, you heard about DraftKings, which was just offering -120, now going to -130, -135, making it a negative EV teaser now. It's just unbeatable. I compared it to blackjack. It's going from 3 to 2 to 6 to 5. Completely wipes out any edge you may have had as a card counter. Same thing with those Wong teasers. Once they go above -125, you no longer have the edge. But you still could find some spots. And yesterday, New England and Indianapolis, both at near the closing line in the steam room. That's what we zeroed in on. And I released that teaser to subscribers. It's set up nicely. It got the money. Obviously, it's nice when it cashes, but it just made sense. We got through 3, 6, and 7, and they were low totals. So expected, lower scoring games. Points are always worth more. I think it's too early to draw too many conclusions, but we saw the overreaction to, Detroit's, they're a dead team now, lost their offensive coordinator, lost their defensive coordinator. They came back. They righted the ship yesterday. The Eagles still as legit as they come. What else is sticking out? The Packers now look like the cream of that division with Minnesota getting a loss. And, San Francisco still able to win football games even with injured players. So that was impressive on the San Francisco side. And look at Arizona sitting at 2-0 as well. So, still early, but NFL, baby, NFL. And right now, real quickly, at the top of the guy that I trust most for his NFL power ratings, right now, he has – what he send me? He just sent it to me. He has the Baltimore would be favored on it based on his power ratings over any team on a neutral field in the NFL. He believes Baltimore is the most loaded team power rating wise in the NFL. And yet they're sitting at 1-1. He's got Detroit top 5 and they're sitting at 1-1 as well. So it's just funny to see that.
We had a UFC theory carry over into the NFL. You don't see that, but we had a fade the baby theory. JJ McCarthy, baby, him and his girl, baby on Thursday.
Perfect example.
So, the writing was on the wall there with that game. Let's take a look ahead here. Week 3, I see some numbers are already on the move. The Colts, they're already up to that 3. Looks like the Falcons are already up to 3.5 after last night's performance, and then it's just to the surprise of nobody, that line on Green Bay seems to be moving quite a bit. What are you seeing on your end?
Yeah, and just how awful that's the perfect storm right there for overvalued or possibly undervalued. You have a Green Bay team that looks like they could do nothing wrong, and you have a Cleveland team that looks like terrible.
They can't do anything right.
Teams in the NFL. So not surprised to see Green Bay climbing. And let's not forget, they got to add that teaser protection. So you're already seeing some of the sharper books as high as -9 there. And that's kind of what they're forced to do with some of those lines. You're even seeing Seattle get bet up through that key number of 7 from 6.5 up to 7.5 against the Saints. But not big line movements based on the look aheads. Just a little recency bias, which you'd expect. Like you said, the Green Bay, you expected that to move. Atlanta coming off a nice win, you expected that to move. And even Indianapolis moving against Tennessee, not surprising, but no huge moves just yet.
Let's go to Major League Baseball. Don't forget about baseball. We don't have a ton of games today, but we do have some, and I see some pretty good moves and some money coming in. What do you have for baseball?
Yeah, and the only thing I'm seeing in the accounts, the group that's still betting baseball, is they're betting dogs. And today they got 5 dogs immediately. They took on the overnights. They took 902 Pittsburgh plus 110. They took 905 Cincinnati plus 105. They took 907 San Francisco plus 120, I believe. 909 Philly plus 115, 912 Tampa plus 115, and then the under 8 in Baltimore and the White Sox. Keep in mind, limits are really low on these overnights. That's why I don't like to release those to subscribers, because a lot of it is manipulation, especially at a time where recreational bettors aren't really getting involved in baseball. Right now, it's kind of the sharp bettors versus the books. So that the playing field is a little bit different until the end of this month as we approach playoffs and must-win scenarios. Then you'll start getting recreational bettors affecting the market a lot more. But right now, it seems like it's the sharps versus the books when it comes to baseball.
What do you have up for Monday Night Football tonight?
Yeah, I actually like both games, man. And just trying to confirm some premiums for subscribers. Again, I'm a little more selective in the NFL than college football. I think the margins are just a lot slimmer when it comes to the NFL. Those lines are just so tight. You got to be selective and you got to be cautious. But my NFL package will be up. Not sure if I'm going to have baseball yet. Trying to get out ahead in college football. Again, had another winning college football week. So far, we've won in week 0, won in week 2, win in week 2. And looking to head into this week, turning some profit as well. And, just a busy week, man. Just keep grinding. Like I said, right now, number 1 NFL regular season, number 1 college football. And let's just keep doing some damage. Head on over to WagerTalk.com. I'll see if I can put out a free premium for you guys today as well.
Real quick question in the chat here. Rob wants to know, are dogs typically more advantageous near the end of the MLB season? Is that kind of the trend, or is it just the situations for today?
No. Absolutely. Great question. And because it's those bad teams that we've already concluded are terrible and are hard bets. So they're going to be undervalued, and it's hard to bet those teams. But I keep talking about this. Let's not forget, they're bringing up the youth. A lot of those teams that know they ain't making the playoffs are playing for absolutely nothing. They're bringing up young guys, and they may not have any value over replacement player, but they're bringing in motivation, which you can't get this late in the baseball season from a lot of these teams. So I think that's why you're seeing a lot of this dog money come in from the sharp bettors, and they're not afraid to bet these dogs in baseball, which me and you touched on in the beginning of the season. The difference between, first place and last place isn't all that great when the season finally ends. So yeah, don't be afraid to bet those dogs late in the season.
All right, great stuff, Gianni. Thank you. Good luck tonight on all your plays.
Thank you, bro.
And we'll see you later on in the week. Gianni The Greek, everyone. All right, let us take a look at the week that was in the NFL. I know we got 2 games tonight, but we have to go to NFL Week 2. Are we overreacting? So let me know in the chat, in the comments section. Are we overreacting? Here's the biggest reactions that I'm seeing on social media and asking around. The Packers are the best team in the league. Aaron Rodgers is washed. The Bears are done. The Lions are back. I know all you Lions fans in the Detroit office think the Lions are back. The Bengals have ruined Joe Burrow. J.J. McCarthy is not an NFL quarterback. And the Dan Alexander special. Jalen Hurts has to pass in order to make non-Eagles fans happy. That's my vote. I don't understand why Jalen Hurts just keeps winning 16 games in a row. I believe that the one that he started and finished, including a Super Bowl, and yet people are mad that he doesn't pass enough for their liking. So let me know what's the biggest overreact. Yeah, Panda says Bengals certainly wasting Burrow. All right, there's a lot to unpack here. Jalen Hurts is ass. He sucks. I don't care what anyone says. And of course, this is from a Washington Commander / Redskins fan. Very well done there. Very, very well done. So, Johnny Detroit, of course, the Lions are back. The Lions are back. That's the big overreaction. So, let us know. Adam is in on the McCarthy one. He could struggle. I'm telling you, the fade the baby theory was in full effect. J.J. McCarthy had a baby Thursday, and then he had to play a professional primetime game on Sunday. It was a bad situation. So, Bill says the Eagles are trash. But he's just given Dan and I some garbage. All right, let's good stuff, guys. Let's go to where the books won, where the public won. Where the books won, the Pats and the Dolphins on the everyone was on the Pats and Dolphins under. That won the books a lot of money. 49ers and Saints under. That won the books a lot of money. And Cowboys minus the points. That line moved up, and they get the win. They get all the survivor picks through, but minus the points was not the right side. Where the public won, Ravens minus the point, Rams minus the points, and the Lions minus the point. Whatever teasers were popular this week looked like they hit. Survivor picks, Cowboys get a lot of them through. I believe Carmine said that about 26% of the picks were on Cowboys in the circuit contest. So that's where the books won, where the publics won. And now let's take a look at props and fantasy football winners and losers. Go back to Thursday. Tucker Kraft, big winner. Now that Jaden Reed is out, he's coming off a big game. Jaden Reed's out 6 to 8 weeks. Tucker Kraft was a big winner. Quinshon Judkins looks like he's got that backfield as the lead in Cleveland. Kenneth Walker had a breakout game. He looked good. James Cook keeps scoring touchdowns and keeps looking good for the Bills. The 49ers without Purdy, their skill position players did well. And Alvin Kamara looked great. Throwing there, Chris Olave looked good, and Spencer Rattler was good. Anyone that plays the Cowboys or the Bengals looks like they're going to be having big weeks in fantasy football and overs on the props. And the Dolphins passing game, even though Tyreek looked upset at Tua, the numbers suggest that they're a little bit back on track. Big props losers and fantasy football losers. Justin Fields and the Jets. Justin Fields out with a concussion. He's questionable for this week. The line looks like the books are suggesting that he's not going to play this week. The Titans could be a props and fantasy football wasteland. They cannot get anything going. Justin Jefferson did not get much, and that's 2 games in a row to start the season that his unders have hit. Brian Thomas Jr., a lot going on there in Jacksonville. Yikes. You're not betting on him anytime soon. And Tyrone Tracy may have lost his job as the starter. Cam Scattaboo looked pretty good, was running better than Tyrone Tracy. So those are your fantasy and props winners and losers. All right, let's bring in Bill Crackman. Want to get his thoughts on NFL Week 1. We'll talk in some props tonight. Bill, happy Monday. How was your weekend?
Hey, good. Andy, I got my "We're Gonna Need a Bigger Boat" shirt on for all the volume of plays that that Gianni has. I seen something the other day. He gave it like 100 plays in football season already. I'm like, what? 100 plays? To be honest with you, I do bet a lot of plays myself, so I do understand. It's just some people get frustrated when you give them that many plays sometimes. But he's great. I'm a big Gianni fan now that I joined WagerTalk, and I like him talking. I like to hear what stuff from what he has going on. Never really knew much about him until I came over here and about his volume. I play high volume. I play so many plays that apps go down to zero, and I have to run around and I think, I got plenty of money there. And then sure enough, I will not have enough money in some of these apps. So it gets pretty crazy throughout the season. So I definitely get it. But, this is the second, even though I had a winning weekend plus 7.5 units, I still get pissed off and talk about some things like it's the second year in a row that Burrow went down and Browning came out and beat me. It's just amazing. Getting 3.5 points. I'm winning most of the game, actually covering most of the game. And there's just so many times that these things happen. They just piss me off. But anyway, going forward, I do have Cincinnati not to make the playoffs. Now, I think it's still a good bet. You can play some of these places like MGM, Caesars. They let you bet as the season goes on. Matter of fact, I love spots like that. I think DraftKings and FanDuel too also. So you can bet season wins. Will team make a playoff every Sunday night, Monday morning? They put the new lines up and take into consideration, of course, their current record. I love that because some teams are overvalued and playing over their head. Like, perfect example. Right now, who's betting anything anti-Green Bay? Well, I'll tell you right now, the books know that, so you're going to pay a tax if you're going to bet Green Bay to make the Super Bowl, Green Bay over season wins, Green Bay to make the playoffs. You're going to lay a tax on all of them. Now, I'm not saying not to bet that Green Bay is not going to make the playoffs because they're probably going to. But what I'm saying is you're going to be laying too much because you're not the only one that thinks that. Every swinging, thinks the same thing that watched the games over the weekend and watched last week's game. So there is some overreactions week to week. And as you'll see, like the Giants game, let's give you a perfect example, Giants game. So the Giants last week looked terrible. This week, they had so many chances to win the game. Wilson came out like he was Joe Montana in his prime. Unbelievable. Just as people were calling for his head. After week 1, they wanted Darton, and they wanted the kid in there. Get rid of this antique, this and that. They were calling for his head. New York is just like Philly. They don't put up with too much stuff too long. You get booed after a week. Anyway, so the Giants almost won that game, and that would have been bad for like Kelly in Vegas. She had it in her Survivor, she told me. But I was rooting against it because, I'm in the $100,000 contest. I have so many entries or partnerships in the $1,000 Survivor. So I actually needed Denver. I'm sorry, Denver. That was week 1. Week 2 is Baltimore. Baltimore on literally all my picks. So I kind of went all in on Baltimore. Now you can't use them again, though. So you can't use one of the best teams in football, if not the best team right now, again for the rest of the year. So I was rooting against Dallas there. I was rooting for them to probably get knocked out, even though one of my partners, I'm partners on 8 entries. I have to just remember this stuff. So I'm partners on 8 entries with some guys, and one of his picks was Dallas. So, but I hate to be unfair to him. On his 4 of them are together. There was so much a percentage, like you said, Carmine said this morning, of people on Dallas. It would have been worth it for me, I feel, long term, if Dallas would have lost, especially the Grandissimo. So yeah, these contests are really interesting. Lots of sweat involved in them, and you put your pick in Saturdays, and Andy, I want to tell you, even though I live here in Vegas, real tough sometimes to remember. I have my alarm set to put the picks in every week on my iPad and my iPhone. I have my alarm set because if you forget something like that, oh my God, it's only,
I know.
I have a third of that entry. It not only cost myself $33,000, cost my two partners. So it's not a bad idea to get a proxy. I went to dinner last night with a proxy, and I'm sorry I don't know this proxy's service, but it's Scott, my buddy Scott. He's got a great service, and he's Vegas Horse Pools on Twitter. He's got a great proxy service, and he goes, Bill, I'll do them every week for you. I'll remind you every week. That's my business. So, imagine, but I'm battling, going through bets, making tons of bets throughout Saturdays, making some halftime bets, and I don't bet a lot of things day of the game pre-flop, but because the line's so efficient. But it's not efficient on FCS, which only comes up then. And that's another thing, Andy. I won't do what a lot of other people do. I won't sell a game that's only available at Hard Rock in Atlantic City, or DraftKings only, or FanDuel only, or whatever spots these places. A lot of them don't even take. They don't take my bets. I'm not allowed to play at Hard Rock. I say not allowed. They limited me to $1. Bet365 limited. These places. So these guys though that sell. I don't see any. Not at WagerTalk. This is taking shots at other people in the industry. They sell. Okay, this is available at Bet Rivers -3. The entire market's 3.5. What am I supposed to do? Bet the 3.5? Now I get the loss while you guys get the push? No, it's not fair. I can pad my record by doing that easily. I want to give out an obtainable line. I think it's very, very fair and very, very. You have to do that. First of all, you're selling picks. You're already up against it. These people have to overcome the juice, overcome the pick fees. It's not fair to give them one or two places to bet at. You want to give them an obtainable line.
Yeah, I know. It's been a long time since I've been allowed to bet at Bet Rivers and Fanatics and ESPN Bet and all those. So maybe it's a good thing that I can. Yeah. You have a prop for us tonight? Monday Night Football. Anything you're liking?
I do. I just want to make sure it's 20.5 still good. Okay. I'm looking at BetMGM's line. Baker Mayfield under 20.5 -130. So Baker Mayfield completions under 20.5. Now listen, I'm only going by BetMGM because they sponsor one of my shows. So I'm sure you could shop this around though. He took a lot more deep shots last week instead of like dink and dunks. And let me tell you, Texas really has a good defense here. The Texans. So Baker Mayfield under 20.5 completion. Shop that around, guys. I'm only giving you one line here. I should have been a little more prepared to give you the best line. But there you go. I don't do it. I'm going to give you a line that's obtainable somewhere. And, I know some of the places here in Vegas will probably have a better line. I'm sure maybe the FanDuels and DraftKings of the world may have a better line. Even this morning, like I bet a game before at Circa. I can only bet it at Circa minus, what was the game? I know. I bet plus 4.5 on the Rams. So I bet the plus 4.5 Rams. I can't give that out to clients plus 3.5. Even though 4 is not a key number, that's not fair. And I bet a good amount of money on this game, plus 4.5 on the Rams. And, I can't give that out. It's not fair to give it out 3.5. So I just wanted to say, like, I don't know, I guess I'm done going off on rants and stuff like that. I kind of get mad. I had a winning weekend and I'm still in a pissed off mood. I come in, I tell you what, things always get me mad. There's so many moving parts to our business. I have friends that don't understand betting. They're friends of mine. I have friends of mine for decades that say, yeah, I don't follow nobody, Bill. I bet my own stuff. I lose on my own stuff, win on my own. I want to bet my own stuff. Like, they know what I bet. They know all these bets I make long term. I win 5-6%, whatever it may be, and yet they or Andy. I have a friend. He listens to the show too. I'm sorry. I'm not going to mention his name. He's going to watch the show, and I don't mean to throw him under the bus. So here's a guy that comes to town, comes to Vegas for weeks at a time, and he has sessions playing reels, the sucker reels that hold 10, 12, 15%. He'll lose 500 to 1,000, maybe 1,000's a bad day though, but let's say he'll lose $500 in a session. Just take a break, go to his room. He gets all my games. Everything's going to move in our direction. We're going to have closing line value on 95% of the games. It's $100 or $50. Like, I don't get that. You're willing to lose $500 on something that's minus 12%, and I'm plus 5%, and you only bet 100 on a 4-hour event, 3-hour event. But, and I'm not blaming him. It's the human condition. It's the mindset. And, oh my God, I don't bet $500 on a game. But you're willing to lose. Yeah, but that's not my intent. I intend to win playing slots or putting $100. You know, you're touching your cash. So when you're touching your cash and you're giving that up, compared to actually pressing a button and betting on credit maybe, or betting on post up, you know, it's so much easier to do. And you see it in front of you, and you say, "Wow, I have a credit line of $10,000. Oh my God, I can't bet $500 a game. I'm getting in trouble." But the cash you can get rid of, and which is more important to you normally. After or post, it's just a normal thing, though. Believe it or not, I see it all the time. I have lots of friends that are sports bettors, casually, and like I said, my one guy back in Philly, good guy, big money guy, loses his own money. He says, "Crack, I don't want your games. I'll bet the opposite side of it. I don't care. I do my own stuff."
Yeah.
And he loses, gets destroyed every year, by the way. Destroyed. Yeah, looking
Poor
for
guy.
loans. Looking for loans, press 1. I'm not joking. He's looking for loans and everything by the end of like week 7.
Well, the number of the week for me was 19. 19 people didn't put a pick in the Circus Survivor.
Wow.
These were people that won in week 1. Like, if you miss week 1, okay, you forgot that there was a proxy, you forgot about
point.
it. But to win in week 1 and then to not put one in week 2, that's just I
didn't
don't
think
know,
of
maybe
that.
19.
You know, I didn't think of that, Andy. You're right. They played week 1, so the 24 people that didn't put their picks in week 1, you can give them a little pass. It's 24,000 extra for us in the pool, and then 19 people week 2. They don't have that much of an excuse. I didn't think of that part.
They have no excuse. If you made a pick in week 1, I don't know, maybe tragically 19 people passed away and we don't know about it. I don't know. It's a little morbid thought there. What do you have up for clients at WagerTalk, Bill?
Andy, again, you think I'm prepared? No. I won 7.5 units the last week. I never even went to the – I know you guys are out of your minds, though. You like sell my weeks for like ridiculous amounts of money compared to what I used to always sell them for. But hey, I get it. We're grinding winners out here. I'm going to my page. You think the guys at WagerTalk can put my picture any lower? I mean, really, you got me down by the bottom. I don't get it. I yell
it's constantly rotating. It's
constantly. I don't want to rotate. I get 5 to 10 million views a month on socials. I bring a lot of people to WagerTalk. Don't let me effing rotate. Anyway. Now, so I know I had to go with college. I know that. It says that right there. Red hot 2% play tonight. Jesus. All right, there it is. $15. Wow, Crackman selling $15 plays. Wow, the world's coming to an end. But anyway, yeah, there is some stuff there. Get my weeklies. Get my. I'll just tell you, if you want to win long term, you get my monthly package, or even contact someone at WagerTalk. We'll give you a good deal on a 3-month, or which just covers most of the football season. We're gonna win. We're gonna make money. We grind out. This is real stuff. I am real. I bet real stuff. I'm firing. So I'm betting lots of money, lots of max bets on things. But I give to you guys first. I actually put up. I don't front run my customers. I don't go and bet -3. And then you guys try to bet at the same time, and now it's 3.5. Bullshit. I don't do that. I don't know if I'm allowed to curse. I just cursed.
You're fine, Bill.
Anyway.
You're fine.
All right.
That's
I've said enough. I've said enough rants from me, Andy. Sorry.
I love our weekly Monday rants. That's what I love about you, Bill. You put out a bet, just like me, you bet it with your own money. There's no nonsense. You literally put your money where your mouth is. So thank you very much. Have a great Monday, and we'll see you again next week.
Thanks, guys.
Bill Crackman. Monday, right at 12:20. You're going to get some rants here every single Monday, so that's great. We mentioned that there are bets that we bet with our own money, and I have 2 of them up tonight. We have a props 2-pack. You're going to get my 2 best bets on the board. We're 14 and 11 so far in the NFL through week 2. Pretty happy with that. Looking for 2 winners tonight. So if you're betting NFL football, this is the way to do it. These aren't bailout bets. This isn't like, let's get all of our money back because we had a terrible Sunday. These are just 2 bets that we bet. They're part of our portfolio. These have been locked in for a few days, but the lines are still very strong on them. So 2 best bets. It's up just one price, WT.buzz/AL, 1 in each game. So we cash first one, root on the second one. Let's have a 2-0 night, WT.buzz/AL. All right, let's do all around the world. We got some free plays here. We're going to give out a couple of props that were pretty good leans here. And then, of course, we got a baseball play for everybody. So let's start with this Buccaneers-Texan games. I'm going to go with C.J. Stroud over 21.5 completions. This is a Tampa Bay defense that allowed 2.9 yards per rush last week. So the way to attack them is through the air. Penix had 27 completions against Tampa. I'm not a believer in this Texans backfield. Nick Chubb is the number 1. So if the Texans are going to move the ball, it's got to be with C.J. Stroud. I think their passing game gets on track a bit this week. So let's take Stroud over his completions. Chargers and the Raiders. Ashton Genty looked bad in week 1, and I think they're going to still need a few more weeks to figure this out. This is a new team. This is a new coach. This is a new running back. Everything is new here. So I'm going to take under 91.5 rushing plus receiving. He had 38 yards rushing, 2 receiving last week, and the Chargers were good against the Kansas City running backs, and I don't know if that's saying that much, but I do believe in this defense, and 91.5 rushing plus receiving seems like quite a bit. I want to take both because I'm not sure if he's going to be bad in both categories or if he's going to be good in just one category, so I think he's going to struggle in at least one of them, and that gets us the under. I go to Giants at the Diamondbacks. Take the Diamondbacks over 4.5 on their team total. Tang is going for the Giants. He has a 7.54 ERA, gave up 4 earned runs in 4 innings in his last start. Diamondbacks over this total in 4 straight games. So let's take a look at the Diamondbacks over 4.5 on the team total. All right. So Colin says everyone is on Genty unders, worrying me now. This did make the card. This is an official play. I'm just giving you some leans. Mark says the Texans' offensive line, it is offensive, but like I said, this is a Tampa Bay rush defense that is very, very good. So appreciate all the feedback, all the comments. Like I said, these are leans. These are leans. The 2 best bets that I have that are up, those are the ones that I've locked in and bet with my own money. All right, let's bring in Steve Merrill. We got to do a little bit of a deep dive here in the Chargers and the Raiders, and we'll talk Phillies and the Dodgers. Steve, happy Monday. How are you?
Speaking of rotating, we need to rotate so my W isn't covered with my name.
There you go.
It's like I'm sponsoring Nike here. We got to do the selfie flip. How much would that mess everybody up after 5 years? No, Andy.
Or we just get rid of the names.
No, can you imagine if this was on the other side of my shoulder after 5 years of people seeing me like this? My half tattoo background, my sleeve, as I call it. It was like, put some shelves up, Merrill. It's been on my to-do list for 5 summers. Guess what? It's September. No shelves. We got another 10 months to go. I got a lot of memorabilia that's in cabinets within hand's reach.
And you're not doing it during football season. You're just not. There's not too many projects that get done. So,
and I was supposed to make End Zone Live yesterday, Andy, and I got tied up with even during the day on Sunday. But I heard you guys slammed it, man. Congratulations! I kept seeing the numbers increase on that. That was pretty cool.
The live bets were really, really good. The ones that we made in game were really good. We did have a funny one. We had a running back to go over, and he got over by half yard, and then he got tackled for a 5-yard loss, and he didn't get any more carries. So we had to play that one and lost. That's the second week in a row.
You did that last Sunday night to yourself. You did that to yourself with Derrick Henry last week. My goodness.
That was it. Derrick Henry and Travis Etienne.
Within 6 days, it happened, or 7 days, it happened twice to you. That's hard to do. Congratulations.
Thank you. So we're going to get to Chargers and Raiders. Just kind of an overview. What's your takeaway through what we've seen in a couple weeks in the NFL?
Yes, we have 2 games tonight, of course, and we're going to take a little bit of a glance here at the late game, Chargers, Raiders. Just a quick reminder, I did do a 2-for-1 doubleheader video earlier this week. It's still live or available right now on WagerTalk TV. Bucks, Texans at 7 Eastern, Chargers, Raiders, so a deep dive to both of these games. And what I did use in this late game tonight in the video, I'm going to give it to you here as well, is the over 46.5. Now, shop around. We do see some 47s out there in a lot of spots. It opened as low as 44.5 earlier last week. I did not agree with that opener. The sharp money came in on the over, and I think that is the play still. 45, a little bit key. 46 is what we call a dead number, but 47, 48 are key numbers. So that 46.5 is a nice price. Still like it at 47 or less with the over here. And the main reason is because both teams are going to throw the ball. Yes, they put up 20 and 27 points in wins last week, But if you look at the stats, neither team ran the ball with any success. Both rushing defenses were successful last week. Both teams threw for over 300 yards. Both teams gave up almost 250 plus yards passing. Let's not overthink it. No pun intended. I like the over here between the Chargers and Raiders over the 46.5 to 47 tonight. And something that's going to be interesting to see, Andy, is if the Chargers have a letdown after that Brazil trip, upset win of the Kansas City Chiefs, and they have another big divisional game next week at home against the Broncos, their real home opener. They won their home game in Brazil. Now they have a divisional Monday night game, and then they get Denver at home next week. So it's hard to say a Monday night divisional game in Vegas could be a letdown spot, but it very well might be. And this is sitting on that key number of 3.5 right now. Looks like it might come down. So if you like the Raiders, you grab the 3.5 now. If you like the Chargers, wait. You might find a -3 at kickoff, but I think the public is leaning that way. So most likely this goes off at 3.5 tonight.
Let's take a look at MLB, and then I want to get your reaction on what we've seen in week 2. So let's do the Phillies and the Dodgers here. Great pitching matchup. This is Suarez for Phillies, Sheehan for Dodgers. Interesting. I think the obvious play is under. I don't know if that's where you're looking or not, but I'm sure the books are aware of this. How do you break this game down?
Yeah, I think I'm going to lean towards the side in this one, but I do want to talk about that total. You mentioned it's at 8.5, and that's a pretty low total for a Dodgers game in general, or Phillies and Dodgers games in general. These are two of the better offensive teams in baseball. So if either one of these pitchers has an off night, you might sneak to that key number of 9. But I'm going to stay away from the total. I do think the side is the better play, and I like the Dodgers in this one for a couple reasons. I do think they actually have the pitching matchup here, and they're a slight home favorite. Whenever I get the Dodgers at home, laying $1.15, it's obviously going to make my short list. Yes, I'm well aware, Dan Alexander, our producer, that the Phillies are 4.5 games ahead of the Dodgers this year. And yes, the Phillies have won 9 of their last 11. But I keep waiting for that buy sign from the Dodgers that just kind of chronically underachieved all season. And I think we might be seeing that right now. After the 5 straight losses at Pittsburgh and Baltimore, they finally got on the winning track in that final Baltimore game last week before heading back home. They have now won 6 of their last 7 games. And what I really like is that the offense has come to life. On that 3-game sweep against the Rockies to start the homestand, 19-3. And then the 3 games against the Giants this past weekend, 24 runs scored, 14 allowed. So that's another reason, probably not a lot of value under 8.5, even though I do think both pitchers will have a solid outing tonight. I like Sheehan, short price with the Dodgers. I think they're starting to trend upward. Should be a great game tonight. By the way, this is the late game at 10 o'clock Eastern on MLB Network. I would lean towards the Dodgers as a small home favorite, minus $1.15. And they've also hit lefties fairly well at home this season also.
All right, Steve, we're going to pull up a graphic here. Week 2, are we overreacting? Which one do you like the best, or do you want to add one here? So we got Packers are the best team in the league. Aaron Rodgers is washed. The Bears are done, and the Lions are back. The Bengals have ruined Joe Burrow. J.J. McCarthy is not an NFL quarterback. And Dan had me put in there, Jalen Hurts has to pass in order to make non-Eagles fans happy. he just keeps winning despite the fact he's not throwing very much. You want to add one, or which one? There's your favorite.
So this quick story. Last year, I'd never done fantasy football, Andy, until I was 50 years old last year, and some high school buddies got me in a group. Yeah, and it was actually, and I didn't know what I was doing. I did the draft, and kind of did okay. And then the first week, I was coaching a baseball game that Sunday and didn't have the password on my phone for ESPN. So I wasn't able to make any changes, and I won. So I didn't bother logging in weeks 2, 3, 4. Apparently, I had Jalen Hurts. That's where this story is going.
Oh, okay.
And I had the Eagles kicker. I had one of the receivers. I forget who it was. But anyway, I stacked them, because I knew enough to stack them. And, and I thought everyone made the playoffs. I thought everyone made the playoffs in fantasy football, and then I thought you fought it out for the final 4 weeks. So one of my buddies nicely told me after week 5 that, Merrill, you need to log in when half your team has a bye week. So I lost by 30. Had I just flipped out the Eagles, I would have won by like 50. I missed the playoffs by 1 spot. I would have been in the playoffs. I don't think I would have won it. So this year I was like, yeah, somebody else can have my spot. But where I'm going with that is Jalen Hurts is having a nice fantasy season because you get more points, I think, for running than passing. So Dan Alexander, fantasy guys love Jalen Hurts running the ball and getting touchdowns like he did in week 1 against the Cowboys. I thought a massive overreaction before this week was that Thursday night's game between not my Washington Commanders and the Packers was an NFC Championship preview. With that said, the Packers might be in the NFC Championship. They have looked good. Aaron Rodgers, everyone thought he was back after week 1, so now he's not back. So that might be an overreaction. We shall see. I think he's going to be very mediocre this year. I think week 1, he was focused. You heard him say it, Andy, like he wanted that game against Pittsburgh. So I think last week was a letdown spot. Yesterday was a letdown spot. Let's see how he looks in the next couple of weeks. The Bears are always done until they're not done. I did think they would improve, but they got a new coach. Bears could be a play-on team in a month or so. You always have to look at the NFL and college football in like 4-week segments. I would be careful with teams that are struggling right now. I thought the Vikings are the big takeaway. That was the one that's not an overreaction. I was worried about McCarthy last week against Chicago. They trailed the first 3 quarters of that game. Bijan Robinson had more yards yesterday than the Vikings offense last night, total. So I think there's some problems in Minnesota. And let's talk about the Vikings real quick, Andy. You talk about a hellacious scheduling spot. They played Monday Night Football. They played Sunday Night Football. They play this week, and then they have 2 games in England and Ireland the next 2 weeks. What do we do with that? I mean, there's got to be a fade opportunity there. And then you've got a new quarterback on top of that. Vikings. Can I
yeah,
they were a phony 14-14 last year. Let's just say that.
JJ McCarthy just had a baby on Thursday.
Good for him.
So add that. Like, how much can we add to our play, JJ McCarthy? Let's have a baby right as we start the NFL season. That's bad planning on their part.
Yes, I guess it was what's the biggest overreaction? I would say the Vikings is not an overreaction, I guess, is where I'm going with that one. Yeah, it's tough.
Are the Bengals, have they ruined Joe Burrow? They can't put an offensive line behind him. How many injuries can this guy have before he's,
So, Andy, if I told you this year they were going to play him like the entire preseason for the first time ever and he was injured, you would have thought it came in August, right? Because they didn't remember he's been out the last 2 years. No preseason. The Bengals started 0-3 last year. They didn't want that this year, so they were heavy favorites in the preseason, playing their starters, playing Burrow. Barely beat the Browns in week 1. That was a fade the public play we won with in the video with Cleveland. And then yesterday, I was 2-1 Saturday, 2-1 Sunday, and I was pissed. Like Krackomberger, I was pissed because I should have been 6-0. I had Ohio State. They didn't cover. They dominated the game. And then we had Jacksonville yesterday. And I've got a screenshot of the penalty. Yeah, very brutal. So
that's a brutal loss.
Yeah, I would say the Bengals are in some trouble. Not an overreaction. Yeah. Well, maybe, not an overreaction. I think a lot of those are not overreactions, to be honest. Maybe we play the Bears in a month. Maybe that's the overreaction. And Rodgers, that might be an overreaction as well. We'll find out more the next week or two.
We were doing on the live Sunday show. We were watching that Jags game.
Glad I was not with you.
How they? Yes, absolutely. So Carmine was there going nuts for the both of you. So, all right, it is Monday Night Football. We got baseball. Steve, what do you have up for clients?
So we have a new special this week, which I haven't released yet. I'm gonna do a lot of videos today. By the way, the Thursday night video, Prime. Last year we did really well, hit over 70%. Had both the Packers and the under. I'm gonna record this Thursday night game here right after this with Dan Alexander. Hopefully, get it up nice and early. I know people love those Thursday videos. So I'll have this promo code all week, but it's first for you, Andy Lang. SM69, SM69. A full week, 7 days, all sports, all access for just $69, dude. And that gets you baseball and football. Don't forget baseball last year. We finished on a 57-28 run through the World Series. So don't sleep on September and October baseball. And obviously don't sleep on the NFL and college football. SM69 gets you the next 7 days and nights of all sports, all access for just $69. Steve Merrill, WagerTalk.com. And also check out the bonus free play. Giants Diamondbacks is up there right now for Monday. Giants D-backs free play. And get there quicker with shortcut WT.buzz/SM.
Great stuff, Steve Merrill. How'd coaching go yesterday? Was it just practice or did you have game?
So last Sunday couldn't make it at baseball. This Sunday had travel basketball. Next Sunday baseball. But I might see you the following Sunday, September 28th. But I'm not going to schedule myself, man. I just never know what's going on. It's good though. We're watching football, watching baseball, coaching basketball. It's good to keep the juices flowing and keep it fresh, right?
Well, I promise you did not miss Lawrence screaming into the microphone.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, how's that going? He doing all right?
It's a lot of fun. Live bets are great. We do need to figure out a volume control. And he just needs
you mean actual like loudness volume. I got you. Yeah.
Oh, it's insanity. Like just screaming. But he doesn't tell us what he's screaming at. Like he doesn't be like, oh, big play in the Ravens game. You just
Oh, I
hear,
got you. You don't even know which game it is. Yeah.
And you're like, what?
Yeah.
What? What
Well,
game are we
that's how
watching?
Wednesday afternoon is in the Press household. So it might not matter what game's on.
True. It was great. I had the Cowboys in Survivor, and so did Prez's wife. So we both got to watch. We got to watch that Cowboys game.
Yeah, and what about the
watch
Cardinals? The Cardinals, we're up 27-3 or whatever, but the Panthers outstatted them, dominated that game, and we did get a backdoor there, but I don't feel like I was on the wrong side, so I'm not going to count that as a lucky win. But yeah, the two most public plays this week, Andy, and my video were Cowboys Cardinals on the point spread. So you can only imagine, other than the Ravens being a huge favorite, those were probably the three big Survivor picks, and two of them could have definitely have gone down.
Yeah. You notice, I mean, this is true of anybody that bets on sports, whether us, public, whatever. Like, you ever notice when you win off of a backdoor cover, you're like, I deserve that.
No,
it was great. But whenever you lose on a backdoor cover, you're like, that's nonsense. That's so
No, I
unlucky.
felt that way yesterday. I was like, the Panther cover got me back for the Jags cover. But then I dug into the box score more, and I mean, that Cardinals didn't dominate the game as much as you might think. But no, you're exactly right. We've talked about that before. Bad beats. Yeah. I love the bad beats segments that we used to do here. They do on Sports Center. 50% of the people benefit from a bad beat mathematically long term.
True.
Right?
True.
But you don't remember them. You only because once again, losing hurts 1.5 times more than winning in the financial markets. I'm sure it's same in the sports betting market. And I'll leave you with a quote real quick because Bill brought this up, and I pulled this up for you. A guy named Ed Sakota, a great trend follower, momentum trader from the 70s and 80s. Ed said, win or lose, everybody gets what they want out of the market. Some people seem to like to lose, so they win big. They win by losing money. Now, that might seem a little counterintuitive to people, but when he was talking about his buddies that don't want his picks, want to do it on their own, it made me think of that quote. I don't know if people necessarily want to lose, but they definitely want to have the sensation of doing it themselves and being right. People want to be right.
Correct.
And
Correct.
It's not about making money for 80 to 90% of sports bettors. And that's why 95, 97% of sports bettors lose every season. Because if they really wanted to make money, they'd be in the live chat now like our smart viewers. And they'd be following Andy Lang, Steve Merrill, and everybody else at WagerTalk.com. Or at least, at a minimum, getting our free picks, right? Every day we have a free pick on our page with analysis. So check yourself before you wreck yourself this NFL season.
Steve Merrill, everyone, thank you very much. Good luck on your plays tonight. Keep going on with that coaching, man. That's really, really awesome of you, Steve. So anytime you can't make it on a show because you're coaching, fine with us. I have to pull up a comment here. Teaserville teaser. Roger has today's Teaserville teaser. Tampa plus 8.5, under 48.5, Vegas plus 9, over 40.5. There you go, newbie. Dan. Roger was nice enough to give you a Teaserville teaser just for you. That was very, very nice of you. Thank you very much, Roger. So, all right, guys, that's going to do it for us. Hit the like button, and don't forget to leave a comment below. Tell us what's your favorite overreaction for Week 2 in the NFL. Give us a best bet in the comment section. Thank you so much for joining us. 2 best bets are up on my page for tonight, wt.buzz/AL plays that I have already bet with my own money. You should as well. Thank you very much. We're going to do it again.